stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning and welcome, everyone. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Friday, October 12, 2018 at 9 a.m. at the Community Center here at 3500 Edgewater Drive in Sebring, Florida. Please silence or turn off your cell phones. A couple quick ones. Not that we have a huge group of people here, but I have had several people that have been in the meeting saying they can't hear us. So I suspect a lot of times we're not speaking, including myself, directly into the mics. So if we can make an effort for that, I would greatly appreciate it. So that's one. The second thing is, as always, we welcome public comment at the appropriate times. And you are limited to 3 minutes. We will extend it 2 minutes if necessary. Okay, the consent agenda. The minutes of the Board of Supervisors regular scheduled meeting held Friday, September 14, 2018, the Treasurer's Report, and the Gulf Financials for August 31st, 2018. I'm going to read all of these on the consent agenda. Resolution number 2018-09/28-35, a resolution of the Sun and Lake Sebring Improvement District approving the 2019 district holiday schedule. And the third part, Resolution 2018-09/28-36, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District approving the 2019 meeting schedule for the regular meetings of the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Board discussion on the consent agenda. Public comment on the consent agenda. Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes. Okay, the action agenda. What I am going to do is I would like to move point C up to the top. I think it might have some bearings on some of our future discussions today. So, Resolution 2018-09/2839, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to approve change order number 1 for the hourly rate of the architectural services. This pertains to the Cliff Schultz contract, I believe. Did you want to cover this?
Yes. Good morning, Supervisors. The resolution in front of you today is the change order number 1 to the CMSA Cliff Schultz Architect Contractual Services. The original contract was established in early 2017, and the hourly rates that were in the original contract have now changed in 2018. This change order is for Cliff Schultz to move forward with the construction drawings for the lanai, and in approaching him for that, I asked him if he would honor the hourly rates that are in the current contract, and he says, well, those rates have changed. Here are new hourly rates. And so he will agree to perform the construction drawings of the lanai with the hourly rates that are in front of you today. The difference here is that the original contract, we were under a percentage basis with CMSA. And what that means is that the original agreement was 8% of the total construction. Mr. Schultz has not agreed to do the percentage basis, but he has agreed to use the hourly rates that are within the contract to design the lanai.
Gentlemen, we need a motion and a second for further discussion.
Hmm?
We need a motion and a second on the resolution.
She was just going through it. I just asked her to explain it. Okay. A motion for resolution 20. No. We were going to do the discussion first.
What?
It's
a resolution.
The resolution.
And you have to have the motion and the second in order to discuss it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
Yeah.
Is that what you want? I'll second.
I apologize.
I'll make the motion, and I think Ray seconded it.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we can have board discussion.
I'm not allowed to say, can I?
So in
No, he's out of his mind. I think I'm not going to be held up by him. I'd rather go to another company. He signed an agreement. He's got to live by the agreement like most people do. He can't change his rates. Just don't see why we would go along with that.
What are the changes?
Yeah, wait, I don't.
The changes are the very top one. The principal architect fee is now $300 per hour versus, I'll tell you just a second, versus $275 per hour. So this original contract was adopted in February of 2017, and we're almost in October of 2018. So I do understand that firms do change their hourly rates. In addition, we have the project manager change at $150 versus the original contract at, I apologize, $125. The senior draft person is the same at $100 per hour. The architectural intern, same, $80 per hour. Administrative management is the same, $80 per hour. Clerical staff at $60, which is the same. And structural, $200 is the same. Mechanical is the same. And the last that he added was a project architect at $200 per hour. That was the only line item not in the original contract.
If I look at the original contract, it doesn't stipulate that it's only for the kitchen. It's for the club renovations. That's kind of what it says. It's the clubhouse renovation. Right? That's what the original contract calls for?
Correct, yeah.
Well, the clubhouse, the lanai is part of the clubhouse, so I think it falls under the original agreement.
It does. That's why it does fall under the original agreement. That was the purpose of the change order today. I did ask him if he had honored the original hourly rates, then we would not would need a change order today. But we do fall under the original contract. Yes.
Any other further board discussion?
I'm not sure how much of a difference does this make, Tanya? I mean, are we talking about him spending 100 hours on this at 300, or, I mean, what are we talking about?
Are we not talking $20,000?
He estimated about $20,000.
In addition, or this is the amount that it's going to cost?
This would be the amount it would cost for the construction drawings for the lanai. He's estimating. But it will be an hourly rate. If the board does approve this today, I will ask him to keep me informed, once we hit 10,000 and where he is in the project. I mean,
So
hopefully this will be very quick.
But if we were on the 8% that he was agreed to initially, we'd be talking 16, 18,000, so we're talking a couple $1,000. I mean, it's not like...
But he estimated 20. You could be 25 or 27, right?
I think we should have a not to exceed.
Absolutely, we can do that.
Michael?
Yeah, my only question, I thought you told me yesterday, we thought it'd be 16 to 18 or 16, 17,000, and now it's going to be 20, or what he thought.
He originally estimated 20, but that also included services related to the bid, and I believe that if the lanai is combined with the kitchen in the same bid, then any administrative services should be towards the 8%. I mean, that's just my assumption. He shouldn't be charging us administrative services for both sets of drawings. It just doesn't make any sense. So I would hope it would come under 20.
And Dave, I don't like, and Tanya, I don't like him doing that, but can he do that? I mean, legally without us, he can just say that I'm changing the rates. I mean, apparently he can do it and get away with it.
Well, I mean, basically what he's saying is his firm has changed the rates. It's been almost 2 years, and I guess the question is if we ask him to perform these Lanai services, I think that if I understand correctly, he's saying, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it at the hourly rate, and these are the new hourly rates.
Okay.
And so he basically what he can do is come back and say, no, I'm not going to, the contract was for the kitchen, although I agree it says the clubhouse. He could say that that's outside the scope. We've gone past, we've had the initial design phase, which came up with the kitchen design, and we have now moved past the design phase into the construction drawings for the kitchen, and effectively what we're doing is we're asking to go back to the design phase and redesign a different section of the building. So
We're giving the guy over $100,000. I have no pity for him. I don't feel sorry for the guy. I'm not going to give him a nickel more. We're crazy if we do.
Any comments, Joe?
No, I guess I'm concerned with whether the impact is really $2,000 or whether it's potentially much greater. I mean, he's not.
His initial contract was 8% of the estimated cost.
Correct. Correct.
So if the estimated cost for this was $240, I think is what we put in. If you take 8% of that, that should be. I'd have to calculate it out, but that's pretty close to 20.
Correct.
So I don't know that we're talking a big differential. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I don't believe we are.
Any further board comment before I say anything?
I'm probably okay with it as long as we have a not to exceed the 8%. In essence, that's what we're doing. I don't care how he plays his game.
I believe the budget for the Lanai is 250. Is that right, Omar? 250. So 8% would be 20,000.
Okay, the percentage is exactly the same. I mean, we had the discussion, and I'm sure everybody else on the board had that discussion with you. I look at it a little differently than my other four colleagues here. One is that last meeting we had, Omar graciously presented several different scenarios, 3 different scenarios on well, actually we had 3 different scenarios from Cliff Schultz on building it out, and then we had financial ways to cover it financially. Here's my concern. We started on this journey a year and a half ago. We started with a kitchen renovation, not a construction project. It evolved into a construction project, and it evolved upward to $980,000 that we put in the budget as a place marker. I'm not going to dispute in my mind whether it's a benefit or not a benefit to the district. I think there's pros and cons on all of that. So we started with a $980,000. Then at the last meeting, I voted for putting the Lanai into the budget for this year as a placeholder. Okay? I did that not based on spending another $20,000 in drawings for something we don't even know if we're going to do. And the catch-22 is we can't build, if we're going to build this, we have to start planning now, so the drawings would have to be drawn up now so that we could get it done. And I don't like being put in this rabbit hole that says we have to spend $1.2 million or $1.3 million now on this kitchen expansion, when several of my colleagues on this board have said I will not even go over $600,000 for the kitchen, and we would do it over a phased approach, maybe multiple years. Now we're talking, exponentially. We've better than doubled the number. Okay, we were also supposed to get from, I believe, in the letter that I read, that Casper Management was going to come back to us with a plan. Nobody believes that we're going to get a full ROI on this, but the projection was it would bring in about $100,000 in revenue. And out of that $100,000, potentially we could get $20,000 in profit. I mean, how many years is it going to take to pay $1.2 million or $1.3 million off? That's part of one. That's what we're hearing, $1.2 million or $1.3 million. We're forgetting about the $100,000 that we'll have paid this consultant in drawings. We're forgetting about the revenue lost at Casper through the restaurant when we're shut down for that 3 months. I think we need to revisit this whole thing and decide if we're going to get a plan, be it a business plan or approach, we need to get that before we can spend more money. We've already given this guy $64,000, and we're no closer to getting a kitchen. So we either decide we're going to have a kitchen, we're going to spend $1.2 million, or we scrap it, because I haven't seen any of the paperwork that everybody keeps promising us. That's my spiel.
That's a good spiel, but hell, the vote was 4-1 last time. I don't get it.
The dynamics changed. The last time it was actually 3-1.
Excuse me, 3-1.
It was 3-1, and at that time, we were putting a placeholder for the lanai.
What is a placeholder? I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that term.
We were putting money into the budget so we could create a budget, and if, in fact, we do go forward with the build-out of the lanai, we would have that $250,000. We did the same thing for the Greens Loop. Okay, we put it in there. Now, can we go out to an RFP? Yes, we can. Without the money, we're just making a budget amendment. That's probably the route we should have taken. But shame on me for not thinking it all the way through. And shame on the rest of the board, because I don't think anybody envisioned another $20,000 in drawings for a lanai that we weren't even going to get. So that's what it is.
Wow.
The only reason I wanted to put the 250 in, or actually 240, or whatever the number happens to be, is that Joe wasn't here, and he knows a lot more about this kitchen project than I do. I don't see us spending $980,000 on a kitchen. And I don't, unless somebody can show me a lot more than they already have, I think I've said this several times, I'm not voting for that. But I don't think, but to me it makes a lot more sense to do the lanai whether we do the kitchen or not, because you're limited to your seating capacity now in the time that you really need it, which is January through March in season. But if the kitchen comes in at 6, then we don't have to spend the other $380.
That's the unknown. Right now, the unknown is what the kitchen is going to come in at.
Exactly.
And I don't think...
But I don't think we can do the
gonna do
kitchen
that
without doing this lanai. That makes no sense to me. But I'd like to hear from, I've heard from Joe 3 or 4 times that he doesn't think we should spend over 5 or 6 on the kitchen. And I think at that, it probably makes some sense to do it, but only if we expand the lanai, expand the seating. That's my thought on it.
What say you, Joe?
Well, Dan's exactly right. I mean, the numbers that I've tried to push for have been 600 for the kitchen expansion, primarily construction, and then potentially 300 or less to expand the lanai at the same time and do it all during one shutdown of the clubhouse.
Exactly, but we can't do that unless we spend the money to get the drawing on the lanai so that we know what that costs. I mean, we're just sitting here spinning our wheels. If we're not, I think you're right, Mark. We need to say we're going to go forward or we're not, but I don't think we can plan on going forward at 980.
And all I'm trying to do is for the community here, I'm trying to figure out, like the rest of us, what's best for the community. And right now, I'm still waiting to see some kind of plan on what this expansion and this lanai will actually do for the let's say for Casper. And we know what it will do for our customer base, our community. It's a benefit, a big benefit to them. But at $20,000 return a year, I mean, somebody's got, that just doesn't make any business sense to me whatsoever. That's my humble opinion.
So I think we ought to take it all out of the budget. Since you guys now have doubts, we could always add it into the budget later. Because I've said that before, I believe. I mean, if you guys are going to vote, if you don't want to spend $980,000, and I can hear a couple of guys saying that, I don't know why the heck it would be in the budget.
We don't know what the number's gonna be until you actually go out to bid. That's the issue. You're sitting here with
Well, we
pie in
can-
the sky, and until you actually get construction drawings so that you know what this is gonna cost, then it isn't ever going forward. We can keep beating this dead horse all you want to, but to me, it doesn't make any sense to fix the kitchen without expanding the seating capacity so that you can increase your revenue. I will agree with you totally. It's kind of asinine for, sorry, Cliff, Casper to give us $100,000 in additional revenue on 75 additional seats. I mean, come on, that's a joke.
Which
I just keep, okay. We don't know what it's going to cost, but we all know, I think everybody here has said, we won't go over 600,000. So if that's the number, 600,000, not to exceed 600,000, then let's take the 980 out of there.
No, that's,
You know, I don't think it's possible to do it for 600,000, to be honest with you.
I don't know, and that's the reason I said leave it in there. I don't think you're gonna know until you go out to bid, and I don't think it makes any sense to do the kitchen without doing the lanai expansion. That's my opinion. If you're not gonna do the lanai expansion, you need to just go back to being a hot dog and hamburger kitchen and get over it.
The original construction estimate, when Marmor Construction came out, was less than $600,000 for the construction side. So the bid is going to have two components. One is the kitchen equipment, the other is the construction. So we'll be able to see, all that when those prices come in.
so we're talking about 600,000 to expand the building, and then we're going to do the other 300,000 when?
The following year, apparently. Apparently, we're going to spend it a year later.
Can I clarify something here, since I wasn't here last meeting? The way I had this pictured was, if we approve the 900,000 or the 980 as the number turned out to be, and we could do all of the construction for the expansion of the kitchen, plus do the lanai for that number, the equipment could be piecemealed down the road as necessary. But I think we all agreed that we had no ability to improve anything in the kitchen without adding square footage.
Right.
So the construction of that addition to the building became the priority in my mind. And if we could do that for 600 and do the lanai at the same time for another 3, the whole package being 9, the equipment wasn't, in my estimation, part of that conversation. If we were able to do it for $850, we would have $50,000 in leeway if we decided to allocate that to new equipment. But again, if you go out and shop the equipment on a one item at a time basis, you might be very shocked at what you could buy and what you could install and for how much money. No way does the 980 cover the kitchen, the equipment, and the lanai. That's not going to happen.
Right.
Correct.
And then one other comment, you can do ROI calculations forever. It's never going to prove out, but neither does any other amenity we have. I mean, the recreation complex never would be approved if it was an ROI question. The tennis courts, the pickleball courts, I mean, that's not what this is about. Yeah, you have to be able to show return. I don't have any issue with that. But to assume that it's going to pay back the entire cost over a 10-year period, that's facetious to start with.
I don't think I ever heard anybody on this board say that there would be an ROI on this. Emphatically, people have said there will not be an ROI, but let's at least look at some kind of a payback. However we want to weight that.
Yeah.
Is the payback in the community coming together more, utilizing the facility more, that's something you can't put a dollar and cents on, other than they come in there, if they do eat, then they'll be buying meals, so that would be a little extra. But I don't think anybody's looking to say if we spend $1 million, we were going to get a return of $1 million. All we're trying to say is, let's not get a return of $200,000 over 10 or 12 years, 14 years. I mean, that's all I think some of the people are trying to say. At least that's what I'm trying. I won't put words in anybody else's mouth. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
But this is a whole different discussion. What we're talking about with this is, are we going to even consider going forward with the Lanai or any other part of the project, because you're going to have to spend $20,000 to get to the point that you can bid it or not. So at this point in time, you either need to just say we're going forward potentially, or we're not. You can kill it. You can't make it work from here, though, without spending the $20,000 to get the architect to do the plan so that you can actually go to bid and know what it might cost you.
Absolutely correct. I mean, the resolution is for the $20,000 to award it, or to agree to, the resolution is for $20,000 to give to Cliff Schultz to do the Lanai drawings. That's what this resolution is about.
Correct.
The reason this was put prior or up at the beginning of the agenda here was I suspected that some people were unaware that we were going to get hit with an additional $20,000 for the drawings. Okay, that seems like, I'm not an architect, but that seems like a lot of money for drawings. And whereas we've already given them as much as we have, it's not like the guy isn't getting his money. He's getting paid to do these services. He's $65,000 so far.
I believe so, yes.
But we signed an agreement saying 8%.
Well, this still would be 8%. I mean, you can.
I know, but the conversation's mute. We signed an agreement saying we're going to give them 8% of what it costs. And then if it costs $100,000, we're going to give them 80. That's a mute point. The question here, in my mind, is do we go by the original agreement, or do we go by the new agreement that he wants? That's what we're trying to decide, I think.
And that's basically that's basically what I said. 8%, as long as there's a cap of 20, which is the estimate at this point in time. I'm okay with that. If you go more than that, then we got a problem. I don't care what his hourly rates are.
Yeah, I would like to. I think I'm agreeing. I can't hear that well. I think I'm saying, and I think Dan was saying the same thing. So I apologize if it's said twice. We ought to reword this to say not more than 8%. The resolution. That's what I would say. Not more than 8%. So we're not hung. If it cost him more money, that's his problem. The original agreement was 8%, and I would say, let's give him the 8%, but not a nickel more.
I'm okay with that. So whether you want to say 8 or 20,000, I mean, it's.
So basically, you're talking about where these new dollar amounts you're not agreeable to. Because if that's what I'm hearing, then that's just, we need to take a vote
on it.
We need to vote and see if it passes or not. If it doesn't pass, it doesn't pass. And we're constrained by the original contract. And Mr. Schultz may have the ability to come back and say, okay, well, I'm not going to perform that service then.
Well, he obviously has a motivation to do what he's doing, and that has to be revenue. So there's no way that I would believe we'd pay less than the 8% with what he's asking for. I mean, why would he bother if it wasn't going to enhance his revenue?
Unless that's just his billing at this point in time. That's what I'm hearing correctly. Am I hearing that correctly? This is what he charges people now.
Correct.
For his,
That's correct.
His particular service and the project manager.
That's correct.
The others aren't changing. So we can either say 8% or we can say max of 20. Either one's okay with me, but we need to have some protection in there that it's not going to go to, he's not going to spend 100 hours on it and bill us whatever.
So we can allow him to bill us at these rates, but notify him that the maximum that our board approved is $20,000 for this, and I will work with him on anything he needs to prevent that travel cost, whether it's drawings and PDF or whatever it is that I can do for him. I will work with him to keep that cost down.
I'm okay with that.
So,
Yeah, I could support that.
I didn't hear that.
Do you want me to repeat?
Yeah,
Sorry.
just tell me, we're not doing the 8%, we're going to do dollars?
A maximum of 20,000 is what I'm hearing
Oh,
today.
we're going to say maximum of 20? I'm fine with that, then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you need a
David saying-
motion for that, or?
The resolution that's up is to whether or not to accept his new hourly rates. So we can send him, we can just, he's still technically under a service contract with us. We can just tell him, look, we don't want you to spend more than $20,000 on this, I guess, line item, to design this lanai. And so we can just tell him, if you get to the $20,000 point, you need to stop. And then come back to us because we're not going to approve anything greater than $20,000 at this point.
That's going to get us construction drawings.
I want it done for 20,000.
Yeah.
We can't have them come back and say, well, I've got to the 20,000, and by the way, I'm 90% complete on the drawings, and it's going to cost you another $3. We need to have some clarification on that.
Well, I think the big question is whether or not how he's billing. What my understanding is he is saying is for these lanai construction drawings, he's going to charge us his hourly rate to do it. He's not agreeing to the 8% because the 8% talked about. We're doing the design phase and then the construction drawing phase. So we're now asking him to step back into the design phase again. So we're outside the scope of the contract. We're asking him to do something that wasn't planned in the original contract.
And I totally get what you're saying. I understand that fully, but we're still saying not to exceed. We want him not to exceed 20,000. We don't want him to start and then get to a point and say he needs more money. We need to know up front, before he starts the job, that he definitely feels he can do all of this for 20,000 or under, and if he can't, we don't want him to start.
I'll take care of that.
So then this resolution is moot. We don't need. There's no reason to have it because what we want from him is a fixed fee price for the construction drawing.
Correct.
That's what
Absolutely.
A not to exceed price. If it comes in at 18, we're happy. Comes in at 21, then we got a problem.
So we have to write a new resolution, or we just go ahead and do
we
it?
need to go. We'll have to go to him and see if that's something he's willing to do. I think that's the question.
And if we take a vote on this, everybody's going to. I shouldn't say everybody. I don't want to taint the pool here, but nobody seems to want to agree with this resolution. So what do we do with it? We table this? Do we take a vote on it and then?
Well, we're not going to accept it, and I think that's a blanket
We want to
statement.
table it. I guess we could table it for now and see if he'll agree to, maybe he'll do something to the effect of he'll agree, if we agree to these new hourly rates, he'll agree to work under those rates in order to get the construction drawings at a not to exceed price of $20,000, because I think that's what we're asking for.
Yeah. Can we amend this resolution at this point in time?
Yeah, we can amend it and say if you want to amend it to include that we'll grant these hourly rates with a not to exceed price of $20,000.
Exactly. If
I
you
agree
do
with
that,
that.
I got to live with that.
Okay.
All right, so we need a motion to amend the resolution to include a not to exceed price of $20,000.
So moved.
second.
Now we need a vote on the amendment. After public comment, sorry.
Right. Now, the wonderful time. Public comment on the expansion of the Lanai, or actually Cliff Schultz drawings.
Good morning, Bill Norcross. Well, finally everybody can hear us now. This is very confusing for people out there in the audience and anybody reading or listening to it on the earphones at home, because you're talking about this guy he wants an additional rate. That's $3,700 a day. You mean to tell me he can't get it done within a week? That's less than $20,000. Like, it's beyond me. With all these people that are working, they all going to get there, the clerical, the structural, mechanical, the bus driver, the taxi, and the donut guy. I mean, really, you want to be able to have a fixed cost. I understand that. That would be a good idea. But now, all of a sudden, somebody was saying that we've already spent $65,000 already. On what? What have we spent? That's why we don't understand. $65,000 on what? Architectural plans?
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
And then now it's going to be an additional 20 plus, maybe.
Yeah.
I think you really should. It's a good idea to have the plans, and it's probably because you have to have plans before you build, obviously, and the payback. But I tell you, the numbers here are just crazy. You want to have a $600 kitchen, $600,000 kitchen, but you have no idea what the utilities are going to cost. So that'll be probably another couple $100,000. So that we're way past the kind of like $1 million for a combined project. So really, I think this has to be really thought out, priced out, fixed cost as best as you possibly can get it. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Good morning, Javita McKinney, resident. I know of a personal project manager, if it's not too late to get another set of eyeballs on this and the money, it would probably be, I know it could be just done as like the gentleman that was here last week, the last meeting, that said he'd volunteer to give his services in any way to help. My husband is a project manager, and he planned this school that I'm doing. And what I'm hearing today, I think if you had some other input, I could be wrong. You could get it in what you want. You could get it in the money you want to spend. He's really good at it. He was with Lockheed and Boeing, and maybe another set of eyeballs. I'm just saying. I could be off, though. To just really help this budget that you want to stay within. So I'll leave his number with you. And if you decide you want to
We
get in
appreciate that. Many times people within the community here, we have a lot of talented people here that can do certain things, and various reasons we don't reach out to them all the time like we should.
Well, he's retired, and I understand people don't like to come out of retirement, but it's like sometimes if you just have another set of eyeballs, he could work with you guys within what you want. Like I said, I could be totally out of line doing that, but
we're a little bit at a crossroad now on this.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? Thank you. Chrissy?
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Question, we're talking about the amendment?
We're voting on the amendment, correct?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes.
Okay, so now there'll need to be another vote on the amendment, on the resolution as amended. We need a motion and a second and public comment on the
So
resolution as amended.
Second.
Did you second it?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay.
This is on what now?
This is
on the amended resolution.
on the amended
The
resolution.
resolution for these hourly rates with the inclusion of the $20,000 not to exceed price as we just voted on.
Okay.
Amended. It was amended. Public comment? Okay, no public comment. Chrissy?
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes. Moving right along. Okay, public hearing. Resolution 2018-09/28-37, a resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District to establish and adopt the final budget for the fiscal year 2019 based on the estimate of revenues and expenditures for the district's general, utility, golf, and capital project funds, confirming the annual operations and the maintenance assessment rates, providing for conflicts, providing for servability, and providing an effective date. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Board comment.
Okay. So, if I'm looking at this budget correctly, we are taking from reserves, and correct me if I'm wrong, Omar, $2,424,300 if this budget is executed as it is. Is that correct?
That is the amount of reserves needed to balance this budget, correct?
So that is the amount of reserves. So, here's my problem, and this is not the first time everybody's heard this. When we built the maintenance shed, which was $1.7 million, the board at that time figured out a way to repay that money. I believe it took 3 years, but that money was repaid. Is that correct in what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take $2.5 million, rounding it off, knowing out of the budget this year, knowing that we still have approximately $1.2 million to do on the greens on Deer Run in the next year or two, and we have no plans whatsoever to replace anything. My challenge to the board is, if we do approve this budget, which I would assume we're going to, with maybe one vote against it, but we got to have a plan. We got to know how we're going to pay for this. And before we spend $1 of it, of these big capital requests, we got to know where the money's coming from, how we're going to replace it, if we're going to replace it, if we're going to borrow it, if we're not going to borrow it. But we have to know what we're going to do. We can't just commit to $3.5 million or whatever the number is out of our reserves. And I think the board owes it to the community or to the district to have a plan and say, here's how we're going to pay for this. And maybe they have to participate, maybe they don't. I don't have the answers right now, but we've got to come up with a way to pay at least some of this back, not just spend money and not consider what we're doing to ourselves. Thank you.
I have no comment.
No comment? Joe?
We have and have had for a number of years more than adequate reserves, more than required reserves, and this is not going to put us in a position that's going to change that. We're still going to have some multiple of the requirement. Is that not true? Roughly 3 times the requirement.
We'll have 6 months of operating reserves if we spend all $5 million.
Yeah.
That's if we spent all $5 million.
Yeah, if we spent all 5. Yeah. And we're not going to.
No, correct.
But that's a government requirement,
I'm
too,
sorry.
is it
Yes.
not?
It's
We
a
committed
recommended,
before.
it's a recommended requirement, and we feel, right now we have well over a year of revenues or reserves built in our accounts that we could operate probably close to 16 months without any additional revenues. We could operate through expenses.
With the greens on Deer Run, we've committed for 4 out of the $5 million. Now, God forbid there's a hurricane next year, or God forbid something happens. Where are we going to get the money to take care of that? You've got to have money, and I'm not talking about the 6 months that you're talking about. That's law. We have to have that by law, I believe, correct? I'm talking about we have to have money in case of an emergency. You want to build a pool? You want to look at the district office? I mean, where do you guys? We have to have a plan on how we're going to pay for all this. And replenish some of that money. We can't just keep spending it and go down to zero and say, well, we still got 6 months in reserve. I'm done. Again.
Yeah.
We have adequate reserves. We also are adding to reserves from the utility fund, so I don't see that we have an issue. At some point in time, yeah, we gotta decide, are we really gonna spend a whole bunch of money doing a new district office? I think that's probably not in the cards. There's some other issues that we have to deal with, but we need to get the budget first, then we need to figure out what our long-term capital plan is. I mean, you can't, we just can't keep spending money forever, but we can't not do the things that need to be done to take care of the community. So I think this is a reasonable budget. At some point in time, one of the reasons that we are as much in the negative as we are is that we changed the assessments to make them more equitable. That had a negative impact, although we might have increased homeowners significantly, or depends on what you talk about by significant, 20-something bucks a month. But we also reduced the unimproved real estate significantly as well. So I think we're trying to get things in the right order, and we're trying to get them headed in the right direction. I think we're doing so.
I agree.
We certainly have, I think, the money to cover the cost now, for the here and now. I do agree that we need to look at the plan a little more. We hire consultants all the time. We'll be talking about Global Golf. Global Golf recommended that we do pools. They recommended that we do kitchens. They recommended that we do all of these amenities to grow the community here. They recommended how we might be better off changing some of our golf operations. But at the same time, within the same document, he said at the burn rate that we're going and with the proposed capital expenditures that we're looking at, by the year 2023, we will have no money. We only have a couple sources of revenue, i.e. assessments. We have utilities. Those are our really two sources of revenue. The golf operations run at a deficit of $300,000 plus every year. And they're also a significant part of that is capital improvements. So $2.5 million or $2.4 million is a lot, in my mind, is a lot of money. I think that somebody needs to be cutting somewhere in here. I know here we are in the 11th hour, I know, with the budget, but who are we kidding? I mean, I don't want to sign my name off on some of this stuff. You know, I don't want somebody to say 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, that the board did this and now we're financially we're having problems. If somebody can tell me where we're going to get the money, then fine. Well, any other further board discussion? Public comment.
You're kidding.
Oh, no public comment. Okay. Oh, yeah. Sure, Bobby. Bob, you got to announce who you are.
Bob Butts, resident. In that budget, is there monies, line items in there for the clubhouse renovation and that?
Yes.
So if that doesn't go forward, it won't be spent, correct?
That's a true statement.
And there's
yes.
how much, roughly?
1.23, what is it?
1.25.
Okay, so if that's not spent, then what does the bottom line look like?
Well, it reduces it by that amount.
And you only reduce the debt, you only reduce the reserves by 1.2 million-ish, as opposed to 2.4.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Bill Norcross, resident. This budget seems like a lot of money, $14 million in total, but the reserve sounds like a lot of money too, $5 million. As a resident, I understand that money was put in years ago by because we were floundering 10, 12 years ago. And we had a lot of real estate deals. A lot of money was put back into the district on sale of land. If I'm right about that, that is money that's been sitting in there collecting very low interest, I understand too. But that money is in there for projects. And I know we like to have a safety cap, a safety net, and wise spending. But I am for spending judiciously, prudently, fixed cost, and everybody knows where it's going to, not an open-ended type of thing. So I think that people will really appreciate, and they have appreciated, the maintenance area, the things down on the golf course. That money is in there for spending on the residents, not to keep it in there for somebody else. I appreciate the work that everybody's done on this budget, but I think that that reserve can be spent down to a reasonable safety net. Thank you.
Cliff Wood, resident. Hate to display my ignorance, but is there any money at all allocated to marketing in this budget?
Different levels of marketing. The answer is yes.
How much?
I think the total's around, what is it, 110,000 total? Somewhere around
Ariel, I mean, there's multiple marketing budgets. Cliff has one. Ariel, you have one.
It's close to, well, 94,000 is the number that pops up in my head. We have 50 allocated in the district. The other 44,000 could be printing, local, however Cliff administers that budget. Right now, I believe there's 44,000 in the golf. Is that correct?
I'm looking it up now.
So Cliff is the person now who is accountable for marketing homes, real estate, memberships at Sun and Lake?
No.
We're well within the vortex of a death spiral in terms of spending down our cash reserves. It's a game of Pac-Man in the sense that every year you lose memberships, and if you're not selling more memberships than you lose, then the handwriting's on the wall. Most entities, golf communities, country clubs, etc., get themselves into the position where they have no money and they desperately need members. But the game's over. You don't have any money at any time. If you don't have staff, the resources to market, forget about it. It's over. Until Sun and Lake decides to get serious about getting a qualified professional marketer that's responsible for and accountable for selling homes, selling full memberships at a rate of at least 20 to 30 a year, that Pac-Man is going to gobble us up. We've frittered away at least 10 years in addressing this problem since I've been standing up here periodically and trying to encourage you to get serious about this problem. We're now in the middle of a real estate boom. Lanier and Pulte are building homes in the coastal areas like hell wouldn't have it, and they're selling them. And we are doing essentially
One second, Cliff.
in a meaningful way of getting at this problem.
Somebody have a cell phone back there that's running? Thanks, Cliff. Any other further comment, public comment? as it pertains to this budget? Okay. Chrissy?
Supervisor Branson,
Yes.
Supervisor Brooks,
No.
Supervisor Guilford,
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel,
Yes.
President Camp.
No, not the way it is. I'm not signing my name to this. Okay. Resolution number 2018-0928-38, a resolution of Sun Lake of Sebring Improvement District to establish a retirement plan committee. Omar, you want to
Yes, sir.
take that?
Good morning, Supervisors. Omar DeJesus, Finance Director. This memorandum, this resolution, basically I'm requesting the creation of a new retirement plan committee. I would like it to be comprised of one board supervisor, the general manager, and one district employee. It'll give us a chance once a year to review the retirement plan, how the plan's performing, review some of the items that I listed in my memo, such as fees being charged, are they getting good customer service, and just address some of those issues from different point of views. Right now, currently I'm administering the entire plan myself. We currently have ICMA, which has been our provider since 2004. There's been no plan revisions. The plan has kind of been stagnant since we've had it in 2004. For the last 2 years that I've been here, we've tried to make some adjustments just to make it a little bit more user-friendly for the employees, allow them to make changes and contributions. The way our plan is currently structured, it doesn't allow the employee to do a lot of changes within their plan. Once they designate a contribution amount, they're pretty much locked in for life. So with these new plans, we've gone out, we've hired a consultant to kind of help us benchmark whether our fees that are being charged now are pretty accurate and see how our funds are performing. Some of the information that we've gotten back has been kind of an eye-opener. Dynamics in the retirement plan industry have kind of changed too right now. A lot of the new companies that are coming out and providing proposals offer options where we can kind of partner with Morningstar to help us go through fund lineups and make recommendations on whether funds should be put on a watch list or traded out for another fund that maybe is performing a little bit better. So we would like to try and just have a committee review all these options and help us enhance the current retirement package that we offer to our employees at the current moment.
Supervisors, I need a motion and a second.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Board discussion.
I think this is probably something that needs to be done sooner rather than later, and I would wholly support it.
Agreed.
What's the associated cost with this? Just out of
So
curiosity.
the current cost, there's no cost to the district. We do administer the plan. All the fees collected by ICMA or the provider is based off the employee's fund balance. So if an employee has, depending on what funds they pick, there could be some funds that charge a little bit more of a basis points. But depending on their balance, the employee picks up all the costs. We just want to make sure that the provider that we have is charging adequate fees. So there's plans that we've looked into that are administered by the state of Florida. There's some local plans, and once we establish the committee, if we do, we'll provide some reporting to show where our fees are currently lying in comparison to other competitors.
But Burgess and Chambers is the people that you consulted with.
Burgess Chambers is a consultant that we hired just to help us benchmark. Once again, it's kind of hard to compare Edward Jones lineup versus ICMA versus Nationwide because every fund's a little bit different. So they helped us with that process. We use funds to pay them from non-vested earnings in the pool. So, for example, an employee left after 1 year of employment with the district. The district contributed $2,000 towards their plan. They were only 50% vested, so they lose that $1,000, 50% of what we. So we took some of those funds and just paid them with that. And some of the information that he provided to us really helped.
So just out of curiosity, what did we end up paying them, though?
$3,000.
$3,000.
Correct.
Okay. So you're looking for us to...
So basically, I'm looking for you to appoint a board member.
A board
the general
supervisor.
manager would sit on there, and we had one employee from the district who'd like to participate. It was Rob Dingle. He's been with the district over 20-plus years, so I think he'll be a good spokesperson. to be on the committee as
Did
well.
you say Rob Engel?
Rob Dingle, correct.
And Rob is?
Rob is a plant operator.
I don't recognize the name.
Yeah,
I
he runs one of our
apologize.
plants. He's in the utility department.
Okay, okay. And you would chair it as well, right, Tanya? So it'd be you, Rob, and then somebody from the board here, and it's a sunshine committee, so there would be minutes taken on that as well?
Correct.
Okay, and Chrissy, you'd be doing the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, so you're looking for me to appoint somebody.
We
Dan,
do-
how would you like to do it?
I figured that was coming. We do have a fiduciary responsibility here if we're going to offer the plan, and we certainly should have a committee to review what we're doing. I think this is appropriate, and sure, I'll participate.
And when Tanya told me about it, my wife is a public employee, retired. And they had a plan where once a year they let the people off a few hours and go meet with them, and I think that's very important, to redo anything you wanted. I don't know if you can do that every 6, but it certainly should be done at least on a yearly basis, that the employees can go in and change, because things change in our lives, and so I'm very supportive of it. So
Yeah, and that's something we'll be looking into. You know, customer service is something that we really want to strive for our employees at least once a year to meet with their retirement specialist. Right now, our retirement specialist out of North Carolina, it's all through phone call. And, you know, everyone doesn't like to deal through online or phone call conference. They kind of want that face-to-face, especially with something as important as your retirement.
And Omar, this was also, insurance was part of this too. I mean, it was quite a few of all the public employees' benefits could all be reviewed at least once a year. And it was something you had to do and meet with somebody to say yes, no. I mean, it wasn't just not show up. You had to go there and talk with somebody, at least say to them, no, I don't want to change nothing. So it's something we should do.
I mean, quite frankly, I can't believe we went 10 years without having somebody in here. I don't know how that can possibly happen, but it did. So now we volunteered, Mr. Siegel.
Who volunteered?
We volunteered. We volunteered.
I'm sure my pay will get increased.
Okay, public comment, please. No public comment. This is, oops. I almost got it slipped under the wire.
Somebody new.
I think, Bill Norcross, resident, I think this retirement funding is very important for the employees. It really is. I know that I had a couple of companies that administered a pension plan. They offered the buckets of which you could have pre-tax, post-tax, the whole works. I understand that. The thing is, what scares me is that in conjunction with the consultant's recommendation, it bothers me that if you said there was $3,000 already spent on consultants, how far does that go?
That's already been completed.
I think that's probably a reasonable amount of money for professional advice. But as a taxpayer out here, there are so many. I mean, we get stupid ads in the paper all the time about the various options for retirement. So I think it's a good idea that you have professional people in there, but I'm concerned about consultants. I really don't like consultants because basically you have companies out there selling you something, their plans, and it's very good. And you have to take a look at the option. Maybe the committee can pick out the best option. So I think it's a good idea, but as I say, if you start getting into high consultant fees, that bothers me as a resident.
Thanks, Bill. Any other further public comment? Okay, I think we're ready. Chrissy?
Supervisor Brooks?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Stiegel?
Yes.
Supervisor Branson?
Yes.
President Camp?
Yes. Thanks, Dan.
I've been
I
drafted
appreciate you volunteering for that. Okay, gosh, I got this whole thing all jumbled around. We did that. I don't want to miss another one.
District policy.
District, yeah. Number or letter D. Amending district policy manual by removing section D-1020, the effect of a declaration of the unity of title on operation and maintenance assessments of resident lots. This is a discussion. So,
Good morning, Supervisors. Tanya Kennedy, General Manager. As President Camp mentioned, this is a discussion item today. There was a policy adopted by the Board of Supervisors January 9th, 2015, regarding the effects of declaration of unity of title to residential lots. And with the assessment methodology and assessment rates that the board adopted on August 31st, there is no need for a policy written inside the policy manual. So what we were doing today is just bringing to your attention what the policy entailed and what transpired on August 31st. Mr. McDonald of GAI has written a clarification memo to their opinions and to the changes that were made on August 31st. So have all of you had a chance to read it's about a 2-page memo that he has. So I'll go ahead and explain what the unity of title is and what Mr. McDonald has recommended through the rate methodology on August 31st. First of all, the unity of title is a title which allows the property owner to unify his vacant lot to the home to when, if the home is sold, the lot will also be sold with the home and not separately. So what you've essentially done is you've unified your title as a resident of the district, and that, you can do that anywhere, within the county. The discussions that took place is that the board felt that the property owner that unifies his property, his vacant lot to the home, would receive a unimproved rate versus an improved rate, even though the property is located on a road with drainage. After the policy was adopted, it was the responsibility of the property owner to bring the unity of title to the district. We had no other way of knowing whether that property owner had unity of title. There is 18 residential properties that submitted these recorded copies, or we did some research for some property owners as well, and we were able to find, that they did have a unity of title. So this affected 18 properties in the district, this policy. GAI, they looked at the unity of title policy, but also finding out that the district, we were able to locate 26 unified properties within the district, okay? So he recommended in the rate structure that we address the unified properties and treat them the same, whether they are unified or not. And treating them the same, in his recommendation, he has approved, or he recommended the approval of treating the property the same as an improved property, which is at the time it was $336 was his recommendation. With the percentage increase of what the board did, that raised the improved rate to $350. So what I've done for you here is given an example of what the effect of the change is for the unity of title. So GAI has recommended that all unified parcels be treated the same as other vacant lots with road and drainage, therefore eliminating the need for the policy. I'll just kind of read here. A vacant lot with the unity of title has been charged a different assessment rate than an identical lot unified in parcel, when in fact each lot is vacant located on a road and drainage. The rate of $350 will apply to all unified parcels now, and we have found 26 unified parcels. Now, within those 26, district staff has found that there are 4 exceptions, and those 4 exceptions we have found that the lots that are unified we have found that they are not located on a road. They are actually located either behind the home but they are unified to the home. But we have found that there are 4 properties that meet an exception.
And that's the ones that will go through the appeal process.
Correct. We have received one appeal, and we feel that if granted by the committee and then by the Board of Supervisors, then we should treat all 4 the same. So we're not saying that every property owner will come to the assessment appeal, but we do feel that they, if approved by the board, then they all have the same, should be treated the same.
Okay.
Exactly.
They'll all get the same benefit.
That is correct. So I hope that kind of explains what unity of title is, what happened. I've given you documentation on the minutes from
There's a very lively discussion in
January of 2015.
So this is a done deal. We're just bringing the policy manual up to date. Is that correct? Pending the outcome of the appeals. The change is already in place. Is that not true?
Change is already in place. The rates are adopted. I'm just bringing forward this to you in full disclosure that there's really not a need for a written policy inside the policy manual to address the rates.
All right. That's fine.
That's all.
I just want to make sure that we aren't doing anything that was like the public comment we had where a guy's got his assessment doubled. We're taking care of that through the appeals
Correct.
process.
That is correct.
So everybody's going to be treated equally and reasonably. I'm good with that, but I don't really want to see any more of that kind of stuff happen to us.
Understood.
Well, I just want to go on record as saying I went back over the July 20th meeting that we had with McDonald, Mr. McDonald, I believe his name is, and there was never any mention of this at all.
Correct.
Period. Now, some of us did get a bill with an estimation of 300, whatever it is, and true, I did not look at it closely, my fault. But this was never a conversation as part of the assessments. It never was. But it's happened. So somebody took it upon himself to do it. It wasn't me. I don't know. I just got a real problem with it because it never came up. We did talk about unimproved lots and all that kind of stuff. No question about it. But we never tied it together with the unity of whatever it's called. So I have a real problem with the way it was handled. We'll leave it at that.
I agree. Mr. McDonald did not go into detailed conversations about this type of change. That's why I did ask him to bring forth a clarification memo for us, and he did not go into these kind of details at this presentation. Right. That's correct.
Yeah, the first time I've seen it in writing is the letter that he dated on 9/24. Mm-hmm. We voted on it on 8/31 or whatever it was, and now he's sending a letter on 9/24 explaining himself.
I asked him to send that letter because I felt that there needed to be additional clarification for sure on that. And knowing that we did not go into in-depth conversation about the 18 residential properties that would be affected by unity of title. So I did ask him to do that, and he did so.
Well, I think the district owes it to those 18 people to send out a letter saying this is what happens and tell them what's going on in case they figure out that their bill went up more than they thought it would.
Can we do that? It's only 18 people.
Nah, it's 17. You don't have to send one to me.
Okay, 17 people. Don't send one to Brooks. Okay, I do have a question. David, I'm going to put you on the spot, I hope. Did you have an opportunity to read his letter?
Yeah, I reviewed it, not in detail, but I reviewed it when we got it.
My question is, since you're legal counsel, he does state in here, no part of this technical memorandum should be construed as a legal opinion. The best source for the opinions regarding the potential legal interpretation of the Sun and Lake assessments or potential legal interpretation of the application of the recommended assessments should come from Sun and Lake's legal counsel. So I am going to you and asking you for the record, everything's cool here, right? We're not going to have a problem.
Yeah, no, we're not going to have a problem. And just to kind of clarify a little bit, a unity of title, the main purpose of a unity of title is it's for estate planning purposes. If you own multiple lots, Florida homestead exemption gives you a certain amount, gives you a certain amount of protection over your homestead, and your homestead is defined by a parcel where your house is located. But it's the amount of property that's covered is dependent on whether you're in a municipality or outside of your municipality. And if I recall correctly, in Florida, outside of your municipality, it's like 160 acres or something crazy like that. But that's for one parcel. Now, there's the Highlands County Property Appraiser does lots of things in mapping where they will put parcels together for tax purposes, even though they are not legally unified. And so a unity of title is a way of legally unifying your parcels so that it is considered, it can't be undone by the parcel owner. Once you unify it, it can only be undone by the county.
Okay.
And so the differential is that the issue we were having here was the property appraiser was considering parcels unified, even though they had not received a unity of title, and then other people had done a unity of title in order to get some protection. And those people were kind of being treated differently. And that's why my recollection is why the 2015 policy got put into effect, is so we would know, the people that were getting a unity of title would know how that was going to affect their assessments. But now that the assessment rate has been revised, that's been taken into account, and so the policy's not needed anymore.
Okay. So we'll just be removing that from the policy manual, period. Correct?
That'll be the next, next meeting.
The next meeting, you'll come up with a resolution at the next meeting for that. Okay. And it'll be on the consent agenda.
Okay. Understood.
Mr. President, I would chime in and agree with Supervisor Brooks. I was completely unaware that this was included in the presentation or not included in the whichever. If it was in there, I didn't see it. And when we had the residents come and speak with us, I had no clue, and I think I saw a lot of question marks in everybody else's bubble. That just can't be allowed to happen, ever. I mean, whether it's his fault, our fault, whoever's fault, we need to know what we're talking about when we do something like that. And to slide something like that through that's going to have a negative impact on 20-plus residents here is simply not acceptable. I'd just like to go on record as saying that.
Okay. I agree. Any further discussion? Public comment? Okay, moving right on.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have three things to say. Number one, the drainage. The last meeting, I heard that money is there to fix
Can I interrupt? I'm sorry.
Yes.
This is not, it's not general comments right now.
Oh.
We're discussing a particular policy.
Oh, I thought
okay?
you said comment.
No, we will have at the end of the meeting, we will have comments for anything, okay? And if it pertains to your drainage and things, we'll cover it then. Thank you. Okay. Global golf. Moving right along to section E. This is the discussion to and from the board on global golf advisors. Who would like to start?
I have a couple questions. They address extensively some of Cliff Wood's concerns around how we are going to market Sun and Lakes. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about using Ariel's expertise and experience and pursuing the social media track, if you will. Where does all that stand? Have we done anything with any of that at this point?
We are still discussing that internally of what our part. We're still discussing that internally. We haven't made a final decision. We've incorporated what Henry Delosier has recommended, but we do feel that our website is probably the #1 priority for the district right now. I don't want to say that, as far as what we've have prioritized, but that is the top thing that we're looking at. We don't have a plan in place, but once we do, we will inform you of what we think should happen first.
All right, then relative to the website, are we about unifying all of these disconnected things that we have out there?
Yes.
Okay, who's responsible for that?
It's going to fall between if we do hire a marketing company, if we do bring that to the board, a consultant, we're going to have to hire a consultant definitely to be able to combine our websites. We know that from a design standpoint.
And timing for all that is?
We don't have all the timing just now. We're going to talk about that in the next 30 days.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and we've got nothing in the budget for that, or we do have?
We have $50,000.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So by year end, where do you think we'll be? I mean, how far along will we be in 3 months?
I don't have the answers today. I believe that our current website, which is Constant Contact, we are going to need to renew that here probably immediately, so we know that we'll be looking at that website as well. But we just don't have a timing plan in place of how we're going to implement any website changes, because it does involve Billy Casper Golf as well. But I think that's a minor point. But we have a lot that goes into these websites: payments, memberships. I mean, there's going to be a lot of transition, so we really need to focus internally on what our plan is first before I bring it, let you know what that is.
It's going to be our website, right? Not Billy Casper's?
It's going to be our website.
So
Correct.
let them be advisors, but you guys make the decision on the website, not them.
Between the district and the consultant, and then, of course, we want to make sure we incorporate everything we need to from a membership standpoint on the golf end. I mean, that's critical.
I agree with you. I think the website's the first thing we have to address. I don't know how everybody else feels about
Totally
it.
cumbersome.
Totally agree. It's
You're 100% right.
if you can find one of them, I start to say they're an embarrassment, and that may be too strong a word, but they're certainly not adequate. And that's our image to people that are thinking about coming here. So we need to get that fixed.
And I know part of the website, I guess we're looking for is that media, that library media that they discussed, Global did. And I hate to say this, but Norcross over here is a walking, he's got a picture for everything over the last 10 years. So I would certainly take advantage of him in trying to put together a media library, because he's got it all. And we've all seen it, unfortunately.
You just like it because he has your picture.
15. He said 15 years. He corrected you, right?
Huh?
15 years.
Oh, 15 years, I'm sorry.
15.
We're laughing, but that really is true. There's some really good stuff that Bill has from the past, and I'm sure we could probably talk him into doing some updated stuff as well.
Well, why don't we take this approach if everybody agrees or disagrees? Let me just figure it out. Global Golf, I've read this document, I don't know, so many times.
Ad nauseum. Ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum is right. We already talked about the website, and I think that would be their first priority. But if we want, we can do this. We can quickly go through. I've marked up a lot of my document. I don't know if anybody else has. I see some pink over here, so we better. So I would just, if everybody has the document, then let's go through the pages quickly. If there's anything that jumps out, maybe we can address it. How's that? Does that sound all right, Dan? Because you have yours marked, I have mine marked, and
Okay with me.
and
I already got it.
and he's got notes.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I just didn't know we were going to, which I'm fine with it, go through it today, but that's fine. I don't.
Well, it was that.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So,
You're fine.
you comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
fine. So, The start is, number 3 is just an overview, so, I mean, we all know what that's about. Like, you have something specific to say on that, Dan? I don't.
Nope.
On 4, did you have anything particular on that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing just to note on page 4 is that they're telling us the expected growth in the next 5 years, am I reading this right? 5 years or through 2022 is going to be 2.4%. I believe that's a Highlands County number.
2.4% in a 30-mile radius.
So, I mean, I think we have to keep in mind that we're not expected to get a lot of new business here based on that number.
I also think that on that page 4, I'm not picking on Billy Casper, but Billy Casper needs to work on a way of becoming self-sufficient. Okay? So, kind of getting that assessment dollars down a little bit. So, we don't have to keep subsidizing it every year. It would be really nice. That would be a real plus. And especially if you get that new kitchen and the expanded lanai, I expect all kinds of wonderful things to come out of that.
I would point out, not necessarily in their defense because they run both pieces of it, but you're not losing money on the golf course particularly anymore other than the capital expenditures. It's actually positive. It's the restaurant that's the big negative. And that's what we have to figure out a way to fix, either one way or the other.
Yeah. I don't have a problem. Whatever Cliff figures it out, he's with Casper and they're running the operation. So, anything else on 4? Anybody have questions on 4? Michael? No. Dan? Okay, let's just zip right along. Page 5. Any questions on 5? Anything?
I actually think they have some incorrect conclusions on page 5. They're talking about the number of members that are the reduction in the number of members, and I think that was driven totally, or primarily at least, by the real estate market, that our friends up north couldn't sell their house, so they couldn't move here and retire. I think that's changing and has changed, and you're seeing it in the numbers of our members have stopped going down and are now starting to stabilize and even increase.
Okay. We already had this discussion during the budget and the golf rates. Certainly he's talking about the seniors here. Right. We might have to revisit this again, essentially cannibalizing the membership rates.
That's correct.
We addressed it throughout the budget workshop. We still need to really look at that.
I agree, but I also think, Mark, that's driven by the fact that we haven't, if you got a certain number moving through the capacity and you're not putting any in here in the front, obviously your membership is going to age and you're going to have an issue. I think that also has been driven by the real estate market for the past 5 to 7 years. Yeah. So I'm not sure that we're not going to see that turn around. I certainly hope we are. I think we are.
If we get the young blood in here, then it'll balance out.
Right.
But that goes back to the whole marketing plan, how we're going to attract people into this community. Okay?
Exactly.
So.
What do you mean by young? 55? Is that what we're talking? You're not talking about 30-year-olds.
Less than you.
Oh, young. I would say young is probably like 70.
Okay.
I mean, really young.
It's all relative.
30-year-olds, no.
No, we're not going to get 30-year-olds on. They address green fees. I'm not going on, on any questions about that right now. I don't want to beat that to death. We'll do it at another time unless somebody else has a problem with it. Next page, which is page 6.
They keep talking about regional rates, and so we're talking about, I don't know, Orlando or Lakeland or Winter Haven or somewhere. And that's great, but we got to figure out a way to reach those people. If you're talking season, our rate's $60. They're $150 in Orlando. So if we can figure some way to reach the people in Orlando and say for an hour drive you can save yourself $90 per person out of a foursome, that's certainly worth doing. And I think we are to the point where our golf courses are as good as anybody's, or pretty close to it anyway. I mean, that's basically the whole concept behind spending the money we've spent to fix the golf courses. So from a marketing perspective, that's, to me, where we drive additional greens fee revenue. It's out of that market up there. There's no point in going south. There's not much point in going east or west, because that's too far before you reach a population center. But certainly Lakeland, Lake Wales, we should be able to drive some revenue out of there. So when you're looking at the marketing, that's part of it.
Okay. You actually hit on a couple of the ones I was going to cover, so I'll let that go. He's obviously talking about, on a regular basis, increasing membership rates. But I think we're going to get to the point where you might saturate some of that. So I think we have to be very, very careful on some of his assumptions there.
I agree.
Page 7. I'm probably going to, not a lot of people are going to like this, but, I think he has a valid point by saying the 3-week booking in advance could be hindering. And I would have to be really sitting down with Cliff to say if we're having a problem. Are we turning around, Cliff? Are we turning down business because we don't have tee times available for outside play?
I mean, really not really with 2 courses. I mean, we're just not at that point where we're 100% capacity on both courses. See, I guess I don't agree with the if the 3 weeks is just fine. I mean, now that's a whole different story if we are actually turning business, but I don't see it.
Okay, and that was my question. In the high season specifically, obviously, and we don't have it in the summertime.
Yeah, I mean,
but in the high season,
we're not telling anybody no. We're getting them on the golf course.
Okay, so people aren't calling and saying, okay.
But we're not. I mean, admittedly, though, we're not far off either. So
I've marked on here, and I guess philosophically, I have an issue with going up on our membership 5% or whatever. I guess it was 5% not across the board, but we're trying to get that methodology where we can do that of whatever our increase is, it goes across the board. At the same time, we're talking about taking their ability to make tee times 3 weeks in advance. Although, honest to goodness, we all play in groups. I hadn't made a tee time in years, and I certainly didn't think far enough ahead to do it 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah, it's not really. It's not even a point or an issue. You're right. Most
I see no reason to kick over that.
Members just they know that we're so accommodating. If they just come, we're going to get them on the golf course.
Yeah. But the greater thing to me is, they keep talking about our members play a lot of golf. Well, we're all retired. What else we got to do? So I mean, most clubs, half the 75-80% of the members are still working, so they can't play 5 days a week like we can. So I mean, it's kind of, they've taken our stuff and crammed it into their template, and they've drawn some incorrect conclusions, at least in my opinion. But that's what consultants do. They've done this 47 times, so they take our information and plug it in, and then if we got a problem, then fine. But if we don't have a problem, I don't see why we do anything that could be perceived as negative by members until we do have a problem.
I agree 100%.
And Cliff, I don't even think that should be, I mean, I'm totally appalled by this. I mean, and I would be extremely upset if you took a tee time away from some members so you could, I mean, I really would. And I can't believe they even put something like this in here.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I don't have the words, but I don't even want you to even consider that.
Well,
okay.
Well,
I don't think that was his.
That wasn't his.
I think it was Global Golf.
Right.
The Lozier. asked the question, how often do you fill up your T-sheets and things
Yeah.
of that nature? And he said, well, we got a 3-week advance booking, maybe, but you've verified right now. You just said you don't turn people away, so I mean, it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Right. But the other piece of this is you look at their template and they say, yet your highest demand is on weekend mornings. You can go out there on Saturday, any Saturday morning you want to, and there's 10 people standing there because there's nobody there. You know, they don't understand Sun and Lake. They've taken our stuff and said, well, Saturday morning's a really busy time. Nah.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday morning is like the fourth busiest day of the week or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they would have asked the appropriate people, this wouldn't even have been in here. I mean,
This wasn't a surprise for them. They ignored what they were told.
yeah.
I got something on page 7.
Or page 7. I got to
We
go
on
back
page
to
7?
7. Yeah.
So the very bottom of page 7 says merchandise revenue has remained stagnant at $4 per round, below the benchmark range of 6 to 10. So that to me is an opportunity, and I believe our merchandise revenue was about, was it 200,000? Is that what it was?
Just over 300.
Just over 300. So if we're getting $4 per round, and we're doing 300,000, if we could get $8 per round, we'd get 600,000. So that to me is an opportunity. Do you have any thoughts?
I agree. It's an opportunity. It's a big challenge. Our membership is budget conscious, to say the least.
But this also refers to outside play, correct?
But that's outside play. That's correct. And within the industry, that's how everything is measured, by number of rounds. You know, how many people actually walk through your pro shop, and of those number of people, their average dollar spend is. I mean, that's just how it's tracked. It will be. And it's really not the. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's not the members, right, even though we're doing, and it's kind of roughly 50-50, isn't it? Members and outside play. You know, it's the outside play that we have our most opportunity, really, because there's not much competition with golf shops around here, whether people to go buy golf shoes or a lot of the other courses just don't have anywhere near the shop that we have. So I agree. I would expect you to see some, and it's even in the budget. There's a small increase, but I really kind of expect to see a better increase than that. So,
yeah, I mean, you and I we had a brief conversation a month or so ago. Whenever, yep. I mean, I challenge you on the selection that we have in the pro shop, and I'll challenge you on the demo days that we have, because I know we lost business. I mean, 2 of us here on the board bought clubs from other places because the price that was quoted was higher than was available.
You know, it's being in competition with the internet is just reality these days, and we just do our best.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out.
The situation as it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it as an opportunity for us.
I do too.
I
agree.
What he said, the key word was opportunity, and you're right. Nobody can compete, or I should say, brick and mortar is not going to compete with the internet. But at the same time, they shouldn't be above retail. Sell them at retail, but don't sell them above retail. Okay, that's my only comment on the club thing. I want to follow up a little bit what maybe Ray mentioned, and I don't know what his conversation with you was. And I'm not a buyer, so I don't understand clothing and things. When I say I'm not a buyer to put into the pro shop there. But I do know one thing. We keep talking about our community being a little bit older, okay? Especially the women golfers. Not a lot of size 6s and 4s out there, okay?
I wouldn't have said that.
No.
I just said not a lot. I didn't say there aren't some. I just said there's not a lot of 6s and 4s.
You gotta be in the teens, Mark.
Okay. What does it take? Because a lot of the size 8s have come to me and said, why can't I buy clothing in there? Because it's all geared towards those 4s and 6s and 2s. What can we do about that?
I will work on that.
Okay. I know that you don't want to have a huge inventory but I think you could.
I'm not going to say anything.
As it is an opportunity. I'm telling you, it really is. You will get a lot of your members buying in there.
Noted.
Are you talking huge inventory in terms of numbers or in terms of number sizes?
Yeah. Okay. Moving right along.
The same thing could be said for the men. You need more extra larges and double
That would
X.
be true.
So,
Okay.
You always got the mediums on sale.
Yeah, the mediums and the smalls are the 30% or 40 off.
Okay. Moving on to page 8 if we're done with 7. Page 8.
I had 2 things on page 8. One is Sun and Lake's food and beverage is not a 10% profit margin. That was before we changed the numbers.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from either.
Yeah, well, they were, anyway, I did, just to show you that I did read it all and I didn't disagree with everything they said, they did recommend that we look at leasing equipment.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's kind of, I keep reading this thing and I keep saying, tell me something I didn't know. I hadn't found much that we didn't already know. We paid a lot of money for them.
We paid a lot of money for stuff that we already knew, but the lease versus buy, we're already in that cycle too, because bidders, the RFP went out for that. Correct, Tanya? The RFP went out, so.
Wednesday.
Okay. So we're already implementing that part, or attempting to implement that particular part. I did see about his, I don't want anybody to, they said our chemicals were above the benchmark. I do not want to see us cutting down on fertilizers and chemicals out there. I think that's what's helping us.
No, and if you look at the budget that's been approved,
it's up.
It's up.
It's increased.
It's increased.
No, but his thought process there, I don't know what it was, but it doesn't matter. Page 9.
Page 9 says we're going to have a problem by 2023.
Yes, it does.
Which we all know.
Yeah. That's where I referenced, and it said Sun and Lakes, the general fund has essentially been funding capital obligations since inception. And
so, based on that comment that he's made, and I was going to do this later, but I'll do it now, I'd like to make a formal request that we set up a meeting of the board. It could be part of one of our regularly scheduled meetings. I don't care. But we set up time to discuss what we're going to do over the next 5 years financially. And I want a formal meeting for that before we spend a nickel. And it can be open to the public. I don't really care.
Well, it has to be open to the public. It has to be open to the public. We could do that as like a workshop at the end of one of our regular scheduled meetings.
This is for the 5-year capital plan. We could
for
do
a 5-year capital
a
plan
workshop.
And how are we going to fund it? Because clearly we know that there's a concern here. At least they think there's a concern.
And that meeting should take place before the end of the year. Well, before we have any major votes, certainly, on any of these projects that are in the current budget. That's my request.
Okay. Duly noted. We'll discuss it. Okay, page 10. Unless there's anybody have anything on 9? No. 10.
Page 10 is a beauty.
We talked about the marking already, so I don't know if there's anything added to that.
Yeah, the thing on page 10, which I think is critically important, besides Bill Norcross's media content library, would be the statement above that: assign responsibility to one person to manage specific communications, such as content creation or regular updating of social media sites. So are we going to, is it going to be Ariel? Are we going to have somebody else? But I think somebody should be assigned this responsibility, as they stated.
Doesn't that fall under you, Ariel?
Okay, so you're it? Okay.
That's it. Just volunteered her for it. Thank you. 11. Okay. I mean, all of this stuff is the content calendar and all of that. I think we're starting that already now. You're doing a great job on that. So these things, exactly what Dan said, these are things we've either been doing or we've been on the cusp of doing them. He didn't tell us anything really new on some of these. 12.
I assume, go back to page 11, I assume that bottom part, that's all going to be part of the website conversation? The actively and aggressively marketing a golfing lifestyle?
Right.
Yes.
That'll all be the website? Is that it? Do we agree with that statement?
Yeah.
That's how we're going to set the website up, as if we're a golfing lifestyle or something like that?
Part of.
That's part of it. I don't think we want to emphasize, you don't want to limit a market out there and saying we're strictly a golf community. You want to provide all of the other amenities that we have so that we're a total solution versus just golf.
So we're not in agreement with that?
The lifestyle will incorporate golf. It'll incorporate pickleball.
Okay,
tennis.
so we're going to change
so
it.
That's what we have to sell is lifestyle.
So we're going to change it from what he has down here.
We have a lot of these things. We're just not promoting them.
Okay.
Oh, Nick, we've got a lot of pages to go, huh?
12?
Anything on 12?
Yeah, 12, the bottom 12.
Look beyond the community?
Well, the last line, which is what Cliff brought up. This will likely require help of a professional third-party marketing firm to most effectively target those areas. I think they're referring to expansion, getting people to come down here. I happen to agree with that statement. I don't know if we're in position to do it in this coming year, but we are going to have to make a commitment to hire a third party, and it is going to cost probably low six figures, $100,000, a little over $100,000 to do it. But if we truly are serious about getting people down here, we're going to have to pay to do it.
I'll put you on the spot for a second, Ariel. Has there been some conversation within the district about looking at various marketing programs over and above what you're currently doing today, which is excellent, by the way.
Thank you.
I think it's great. But are there plans? Have you looked outside? I know that we've looked at even kind of some website people that we discussed the other day, but what about a marketing plan?
Yes. WDM, which is World Design Marketing, is the group that we had our meeting with this week, and they are a full-service marketing agency. That is what they do: website, social media, in-market placement for billboards, other advertisements. They are full service.
Okay.
So, yes.
So they do all of that. Those are the people that are doing the college up the street as well.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, I know I particularly have talked to Global Golf about, when I hired them, I can be honest with you, we needed a strategic plan, and I also wanted a developer. And I still stand today saying the same thing. Cliff has talked to me for a couple of years. We certainly need somebody to come in and give them that job. But I also have been, when I was president last year, talked to the county. The county controls so many lots that we don't have squat to say about a lot of the stuff that's going on right now. But saying that, and I just told him the other day from Global Golf that I want a developer, and that's why I hired him. That's why I wanted to pay him $38,000. But he needs to help us there, and we need to get somebody in charge to sell lots and to do exactly what Cliff has been talking about. But it's difficult right now, but I'm headed towards that, like Ray said. We need to do that because our success is going to be with homes and this being built. We're never going to have Cliff get it to zero in the golf things until we have enough people here to have a problem. We don't have a problem now, but we need to work towards that. And yes, it's going to be money, but it's hard to justify any of this until we get a plan in place and start people building homes and moving here. And that's a lot of my votes are based on what's going to. I hope that's what happens. So, but I've told them, and some of this stuff here, I don't. It's just we need to have people build homes. Okay.
No, I don't think it's any secret that we need development here. Early on when he did his initial presentation, and I'm talking about Global Golf, Henry, one of the things he promoted was possibly developers. He's not going to go out there and get us a developer. I'm not even suggesting that. But we really didn't get, in my mind, a good way of going after larger development companies. Now, we have a lot of property out there, even though Sun and Lake doesn't personally own it. The district, Highlands County owns it, and they would love to get rid of a lot of those lots. They have them up for sale now. They're very, very reasonable. And if you can get 60, 70, 100 of those together, which there are out there, and you get a developer that comes in, as long as he isn't building a tiny house, then you're going to that could be a great big boom for this area, and it could go on for years. So,
but Mark, what they told me, now maybe they've changed, is the lawyer for the county wasn't receptive to letting us be involved in anything. The county has to be involved in, unless somebody comes in and buys them off the county, and then we can turn that in. But wasn't that exactly what they told us? That we couldn't even do it ourselves, because we talked about hiring somebody, like say Cliff, to do it, and they wouldn't even let somebody at Sun and Lake do it.
That's correct, because they have to abide by their own purchasing rules, and right now it's listed on their website through invitation for bid, and that is the approach they wanted to try first. So that is correct. They couldn't just allow. They'd have to open the door for competition. They couldn't just allow Sun and Lake to come in and help sell.
This I wasn't even looking at it as a co-marketing type of thing. I was looking at it as, potentially if you hooked up with a developer, you could put together a program that would allow, be it Sun and Lake or whomever they develop, to buy from the county those lots. So the lots are there, I guess. It's the question of getting the developer in here to build. So, but we can do that. We just can't co-market. Okay, moving right along. Look beyond the community, page 12, 13. 13. I don't know, the loyalty programs, I don't know. How are you looking at putting something in place for that, Cliff, in your marketing? Loyalty programs, repeat. In other words, people that come here, play golf, and put some kind of program together to get repeat business from them.
Yeah, we're going to continue the same Advantage Card program.
Okay.
And really, it produces enough revenue. I've looked at it pretty hard. It's just one of those things it's just not broken.
Okay.
And I'm just not going to make changes yet. I don't know, probably not to talk about it, but that model about kind of selling sort of a mini membership is kind of what we're doing. You know, for $50 you can get preferential fees for the whole year. That's kind of going away. It's a little bit more like going to Starbucks, where people just expect loyalty as they continue. So we might move away from it, but right now it's working, and I'm going to get through a season before I kind of reevaluate the loyalty stuff. Okay.
Thank you. Ariel, you did some surveys, I know. You're going to continue to do these surveys, I guess, right? Yes.
Let's talk. Oh, go ahead.
What was the, just out of curiosity, the homeowner member surveys? And I saw some of the results recently on those. Are we doing more of those? And if so, when?
Certainly. So in my opinion, the survey went very well. We had a good number of responses. As we find needs for more information that we look to collect, I think that this is obviously a good channel to get them through because people are participating. Honestly, for us, it's a matter of what information do we want to collect, and then we use the survey as the tool to collect that information, which is what we did with recreations.
Now, as far as people in the community here, we didn't reach out to non-member people, did we?
That's correct. This in particular was aimed to be a resident survey. Mm-hmm. So yes, this was geared more towards residents. That's not to say that going forward we can't do surveys that are a little bit more broad and community driven. Mm-hmm. Those types of things would be best served through channels like social media, where we're advertising for people to please take our survey because we have so many people on our social media sites that are non-residents. This in particular was put through our email blast system through Constant Contact because we wanted to make this more of a resident-driven survey to see what it was that residents expect from the recreations here at the district and what they would like to see going forward.
Okay. Thank you.
I mean, I applaud the effort that we did. How many did you actually get responses on? I can't remember.
I believe it was 200. It might have been 3 shy of 200, so 197.
Out of how many?
Out of, well, how many emails? That one's kind of tough because we have a few bounce backs. I would say that, so what I look at is the click-through rate or the open rate. So that's whoever would have got this email, how many people actually opened it and how many people clicked through that survey. And I want to say we were over 50% the last I checked. I believe it was somewhere around 53 to that 56% mark, if I'm not mistaken.
56% opened it?
Yes, and clicked through. Yeah.
I guess my challenge to you, and again, I applaud what you've done. My challenge is we've got to communicate to everybody. Mm-hmm. We don't have a way to do that yet.
Correct.
That I'm aware of. We don't. Well, we got to figure out a way to communicate to everybody.
And if one of the ways that I think we can do that, and I believe it may have been on that survey if I'm not mistaken, was there was a question: where do you get your information from the district? Do you get that through your e-blast? Do you get it through social media? Do you visit us at the district office? Where are you looking? What channels are you looking to get your sources of information from the district? And a lot of them said newsletter and e-blast, so that's good information for us to know where we can market going forward.
I'm going to throw the challenge out to you guys. We've got to figure out a way to be able to get to all people who live in the district or live in the community, because we have other situations besides wanting to take a survey. We have water main breaks and things of that nature, and that stuff's got to be communicated to everybody. And we don't have the list. And I just don't understand why. So that's a challenge.
Thank you. I think we're on 14 now. Anything jump out at you? No. Nothing? Okay. 15.
I'm on 16.
15. The options for working meetings. I said your working meeting is on 15. We've already addressed that. We're going to have one. 16. Okay. Any questions on 16?
Well, I mean, just his point that he says we have to improve and add facilities, amenities, I happen to agree with that.
Yeah, the district needs an amenity profile that aligns with, yeah. I think we're working on that.
Yeah.
It's a work in process. 17. The yield management, that jumps out at me. I'm guessing that Cliff is working on those types of things too, right?
Every day.
Okay.
That's as opposed to just giving it away. I mean,
Yes.
they act like we're asleep or something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think anybody in the pro shop charges any less than they think they can. I mean, whatever. It's almost insulting, to be honest with you. Like, you bunch of rubes down there don't know how to charge anything for anybody. I mean, we got professional management. That's what they're doing and supposed to be doing, so.
I would hope.
Let me ask one question on, I hate to bring this subject up. Tanglewood, are their rates equal to what the Center Lake residents' rates are for that groups that play here? Or are they lower?
Not for the groups, but if they play outside of the groups, the answer is yes. But they do get different rates on those 2 days a week that they play within that group.
Are they lower than the resident rates?
During those groups times only, yes.
Well, I got a real problem with that.
But if they play any other time, no. They play exactly the same as everybody else.
I know that that's a significant, I know, revenue generator for the club. There's a lot of rounds that they play, and it's a guarantee, pretty much a guarantee, I think.
I find it difficult. I find myself in a difficult position to be defending giving Tanglewood better rates, but I will say this, that they play at 8 o'clock in the morning when we don't have full shotguns, so while it's aggravating that they're in front of you sometimes, that's a lot of revenue to the club that if we were to give it up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is there is a lot of revenue there.
They're not playing in the 1 o'clock shotgun, and they're not taking up the 10 o'clock 10 o'clock tee times. They are playing in the 8 o'clock when we typically don't have full shotgun, pretty much ever.
And we did go up on their rates this year, did we not?
Yes.
If I remember correctly?
Yeah, well, I mean, we haven't yet, but we're getting close to that season. We're actually, as of Monday, we're going into our shoulder season rates. So.
Have you met with those people and informed them?
I personally have not, no.
So has somebody met with them and
I don't
informed them
think
that the rates are
going to go up until I mean, Andy and I really have only talked about it one time, but once we get into season, the rates are going to go up.
But I guess my question, let me rephrase it. They're coming in with an expectation that potentially they could have the same rate as they had last year. And my question is, I don't know their association, how and who does the negotiations with Andy, for an example, or yourself. But if somebody hasn't got out in front of this and said, we are going to increase your rates, when they get there at the counter and somebody says, oh, your rates have gone up, that could be a problem.
Well, I mean, Andy and I just talked about it. I haven't done the negotiations personally, so I just can't answer it, but
okay.
I'll find out. Yep. I'll know. And I agree with you. I mean, we've been in front of it, though.
I just don't want a surprise and then have us backtrack and say, okay, you can have the same rate as last year. That I wouldn't be real happy with that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we don't know really what they're charged, and I don't know that we need to know. But I will say this: if somebody said to me, listen, I'll bring 100 players or 50 players or whatever, I'm going to give them a better rate than I would a guy that's got to force them. So I think it's up to you guys to negotiate it the best deal you can for us, and they're going to try to negotiate the best deal they can for them. And if it gets to the point where we can't accommodate what they want to do, then we lose the play, and maybe we can replace it with non-Tanglewood play. So that's what we pay you guys for.
I thought this board decided that Tanglewood's rates should not be lower than the Sun and Lake resident rates.
And I think that's a true statement, other than the group rate was different, correct?
No.
Individual Tanglewood, people come in from Tanglewood to play, at least this was my understanding, and I might be incorrect. People that come from Tanglewood would not pay anything less than what a resident would pay here. But the groups, because they have a fixed amount of people every week, they would get a different rate.
Lower than the residents. I'm sorry, that's not the conversation that we had.
I will go back. I don't remember for sure then.
There's no way. They're part of Sun Lake. They shouldn't get better rates than everybody else.
Well, to Dan's point,
I mean, I'm happy if a bunch of residences got together and I had 30 residences at one time wanted to play on Thursday mornings, it would be the same thing, wouldn't it? And
To me.
yeah, if it's the same rate. I mean,
it would be the same thing. If I can negotiate a better rate to have 30 people play every single day for the next 6 months, I think I should give them a nice rate.
and I agree with that, and I agree with what Dan said. We're getting the revenue on off times. They're filling up space that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we don't have a high demand.
You know, it's just back to are we 100% full? You know, when we're 100% full, then we can be. I mean, we can be really rough and tough about the rates, but until we get to that point, it's just hard to even have that type of conversation.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you justify that to a resident? Who's going to tell the residents? I mean, how do you justify that Tanglewood gets a better rate? That's it.
Because they're bringing 50 players at one time, twice a week.
It's the same thing as having a.
Well, I'll tell you what. I play in a group on Wednesday, and I want a better rate. We got 110 guys. What are you going to say that? I mean, we got to stand for something. I mean, come on, this is just absurd.
You're not playing at 8 o'clock in the morning. You're playing at 1 o'clock when we pretty much can fill up the golf course.
We used to get upset with Tanglewood because they wouldn't be members here. Now we're giving them any price they want. I mean, you know.
Okay.
I'm glad we're doing so well financially that we could do that.
Okay. Let's try to keep on.
Just for clarification, Cliff, is Tanglewood's peak season rate going to be higher this year than it was last year?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure that was the case.
We're halfway through this. I'm trying to make an effort to kind of stay on point here. I'm not trying to shut down anybody's questions, but maybe some of these might be meetings to have on the side, you know, to get together. Okay, I'm just looking for things that jump out. Okay, on 18, page 18, the only thing I had in there, and I already touched upon it, was the alliances on the undeveloped properties. I think that's an important thing that we need to look at. Okay. And of course, the cash flow 2x. 19, page 19. Anything?
Well, I think, where's the, I guess on page 18, if you look at the cover letter that Tanya sent out, she would like the board to consider adopting core values for the district, examples. So she requested that. I think that's page 18. Is it not? I mean, do we want to tackle that now, or I don't know, how do you want to handle that?
The mission of the district as presented in front of you, this is just a discussion today, but if the board does agree with the mission and vision that's presented to you, that would be a good thing to know today, or if you have any recommendations on changes.
Well, that would be on page 19.
That would be page 19
Page 19
and
in the
20.
middle of the page.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, Sun and Lake Sebring Improvement District is a self-governing, financially sound community providing protection, governmental services, and recreational facilities for its residents. And, well,
So Tanya, you're okay with that?
I think it's very general, generic. It covers all areas, so I don't have, any say one way or another. I agree with it, so I think we need to at least start somewhere, and that's a good place to start. Okay?
Not real exciting, but I think we could probably live with it.
Okay, 20. A lot of this will become repetitive as we start to get a little further down. So I didn't have anything specifically on 20 other than to address a safe and affordable community with lifestyles, outstanding recreational camaraderie, and so on. Yes? No?
Yeah, I kind of like
The rest
that.
of it's all, to me,
I think it's better, certainly, than what we have.
Okay.
As far as the rest, the analysis is the strengths and weaknesses. I mean, we're aware of all of these things. I don't think there's anything specific that we should pull out or address unless somebody else on this board does.
I mean, the only thing I always have something. The only thing that I thought was interesting, I can't remember what page it was on, is that we have to balance the golf budget.
Yes, he said to get it down to a zero balance.
Yeah, but I mean next year. I want it to be a zero balance next year. That's the challenge. That should be the challenge. It shouldn't, whatever we take in is what we should spend. It's kind of easy.
Okay. As far as some of the capital plan information in here, anybody have any questions on that? That would be on page 22, I believe, or 23, 22, 23. Where was it? 24. Oh, the funding for the capital on page 25. Okay. Once again, the emphasis being here, the year 2023, which is under the funding for capital. Okay.
Well, that's cool.
Okay. Actually, you're in a different spot than I am right now. It's the first paragraph. It doesn't matter. It was in the very first paragraph under funding. And it says the next 5 years, the third line down is all I'm referring to, is to draw down to zero those projects by 2023. I think that's the part we have to look at very closely because once again, we're spending, and we're not bringing in revenues. That's my thought. Okay. I don't see anything else on 24 for me. 25, I don't see anything for me. I don't know if anybody else has it. They're all general questions. 27. Okay. Page 27 is an interesting one. Okay. Capital maintenance shortage, 3.6 million. Golf house renovations, 900,000. District renovations, 1.5 million. New pool complex, 1.5 million. Community fitness center, donation, 1 million, for a total of, in contingency of 840,000, for a total of 9.34 million. I don't know where we're going to get it, but maybe somebody can help me with that. We can do a 50-50 maybe.
We're not doing it.
So.
What? Well, that'll be our meeting, right?
Yes. But it's anything else? We have a strategic action plan here. I think it,
Well, you know, you're talking about, again, taking away the guest pass program on page 29. That was a Tanglewood-driven deal that we didn't want residents or members standing behind Tanglewood paying more for their guests than Tanglewood was paying at the time. I think it's an opportunity.
Where's that?
page 29.
Page 29. I think there's an opportunity to increase those numbers, but not necessarily take them away. Again, you're increasing members' cost without, and at the same time, you're looking at taking away benefits. That and the 21-day reservation. I mean, it's not like it's, that thing actually came up with, you used to get 10 for free. So now you're at least paying for it. I think we should adjust the number from maybe 15 and 25 to 20 and 30 or whatever, but I don't see doing away with it, put it that way. Neither do I see doing away with the 21-day reservation, tea time reservation, unless we get to the point where that is a problem.
And we haven't taken any initiative on that anyway, correct?
No, we haven't changed.
I mean, I know it's for 2020.
There's been no changes in this year's membership. And I mean, come next year, I mean, we can certainly revisit that. And I couldn't agree more. If anything, that number shouldn't go. I mean, we're in the business of increasing member value, not decreasing member value. So, if anything, that should slightly creep up, not down.
Okay. We're talking guest pass?
The guest passes that you get with the membership.
But again, this year, as many people who've already had signed up, where we've just continued the same program, and we'll reevaluate that as we get into the next season.
Yeah, if we're looking at growing membership, which is, I think, one of the primary focuses we should have, then we need to be enhancing member value instead of taking things away from them.
That's right. But we're talking about guest pass. I'd also like to consider, when the time is right, I'm not sure when that is, reducing the free golf for people who buy property. Maybe in a gradual state, instead of giving them 100% free ride the first year, you give them 50%, and then you take it away.
I agree.
think people who are buying property here intend to play golf if they're going to golf. I don't think the free membership is the deciding fact for them to move here.
I agree.
I totally agree.
We will bring that to the board, I believe, in resolution either November or December, because
that's the renewal.
That would be the renewal period, January 1. So we can certainly bring that to the board.
Yeah, because that is, it's the end of the month of December, I think, the renewal on that, right?
And end of the
Something
year, I
like
think,
that.
is the
Okay.
cutoff time for that.
Because that could be some nice, that could be nice revenue, right?
Well, yeah, I mean.
Depends on how many houses sell and how many of those people want to play golf, yes.
Okay. Anything else on 29? Dan? No. 30. The end is near. 30. Oh, yeah, the website that was projected for 2019, we're already looking at that. That was one of the ones I had highlighted as well. I think that's critical. That's it. I think that's it. I don't see anything else on that.
Internally, we have reviewed these action plans and feel like these we can assign responsible parties to each line item. And just as a recommendation, we'd like to bring this back to the board as a final through resolution to adopt the action plan along with the mission and vision. Would that be something that y'all would consider soon, or do we anticipate any more changes at this point?
I don't.
Okay.
But I don't know if the other four do.
I'm okay as long as we incorporate the things we've talked about here today.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. I guess we can have, at this point, public comment Okay. No public comment. That's good. Okay, moving right along. Oh. Huh. That wasn't quick enough. Sorry.
Good morning, good afternoon, probably.
Yeah.
Bill Norcross, resident. The Global Golf, the Henry Delosier consultant proposition and discussion, I think I kind of agree with Dan that there's probably not a lot of new items there, rehashing a lot of things that should be done, could be done, and why aren't they done? I completely agree there. Was that a $50,000 item that, how much that cost?
36, I think, or 38. Something like that.
That's not a bad week's pay. I completely agree with Cliff Woods over here. The marketing deal has not really provided the services really that you paid for. And I can remember, and people don't want to hear about when Gershberger was here, that they flew a helicopter in here and he was flying around. He thought it was the greatest thing since pockets. And they took pictures out there in March where everything was brown, or they can tint the pictures. I mean, it was so... And spent thousands and thousands of dollars on advertising. What do they produce? Nothing. They send people up to Montreal for $6,000, $7,000 to give away free tickets. Does that accomplish anything? No. You know, I've been pushing for... They got signage out there. We got 50, according to the DOT, we got 50, 80,000 people going up this highway, up and down this highway, every single day. And if we could have a sign out there, which I proposed over 2 years ago, the original sign to just say, we have 36 holes at championship golf. If that attracted 1 or 2 people a week, a day, we'd be a hell of a lot better off, quite honestly. And that is cheap advertising. We've taken down, by mistake, the billboard. We haven't had the billboard. I think that's great advertising. It pinpoints things that are coming up. Now, we're not going to do that. You get paid $10,000 for that billboard. Okay, fine. Why isn't some thought about replacing it? I think it was mentioned there should be billboards. And you talk about, revert back to another history factors. When Michael Wright was here, he says in 2014 we expect a big influx of traffic. Things are going to change. That the economy is going to go better. Okay, fine. Well, guess what? You know, in 2018, we're having people coming in left or right. This house is being built by Hornick all over the place. So what he predicted actually came true. You talk about hotels and advertising. We advertise through the hotels down here and pay a premium. Why aren't we advertising in Orlando? Why don't we give them
3 minutes, Bill.
an opportunity? Well, I sat out here for an hour and a half listening to this stuff, and if you broke it up so that you could talk on each subject, okay, fine. But you're going through 32 pages up there.
I gave you a heads up. I'm just saying 3 minutes.
I'm just making a suggestion. If you have the hotels in Orlando up there, knowing that people can come down here and play a round of golf for $40 instead of paying $90 like somebody said, it makes some kind of sense. I've tried to have this place advertised a little bit. I've asked 3 or 4 members to put in golf results just so we could have some kind of thing in the newspaper. And 3 or 4 people are actually doing it. So we're trying to promote Sun and Lake as best we can as an unpaid district person. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just, you have so much that has to be done, that can be done. Social media. I think the idea of pro shop tracking. I've asked Cliff about. I think some of his clothing is too expensive. When you go out, I buy a shirt, I'm going to pay $50 for the shirt, $47. I think that's a lot of money. I think if we could go on volume rather than at the end of the year having a 20 or 30% sale, why can't we have it earlier? I've asked before on tracking. When people come into the pro shop, you don't know who they are, where you're coming from, how are
5
you?
minutes.
How about having an opportunity to have a drink on us if you fill out this questionnaire? An idea.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can be done.
You have to wrap it up, Phil.
I have to wrap it up, yeah. Well, I lost a day of golf. That's what I'm supposed to be here for. And I thought it was important.
I appreciate you
I have
being
other
here.
issues here, too. And we don't have anybody else coming up here.
Yes,
Oh,
we
good.
do.
Thank
Actually,
you.
You know,
But, you know, you just don't listen to the people, the members, and take care of what should be done. Global golf is just reviewing and rehashing stuff that
Okay.
should be done.
thank you.
Javita McKinney, resident. On a good note, the video that I saw for moving here is on YouTube. I think that's a great video. Maybe continue to do it that. And the pro shop, I guess I should know this. Do they advertise online? Like, is there a way to buy from you all online? Even? Because I don't think prices being high is a bad thing, because a lot of people like quality. So, just to balance. Keep some nice quality high stuff in there and some reasonable stuff, and maybe go online if you're not doing that. I apologize for not knowing that. But I'll, try to look into more information instead of coming up here offering stuff that's already been said. So,
Thank you. Yeah, I don't believe they have an online store.
yeah, do that.
No.
For
In that
membership,
video I saw-
you can buy memberships online and a few other.
No, I mean clothing and
No
things.
clothing.
No.
And
Yep.
you shouldn't.
Thank you. No, they just have a picture of it.
The website in today's marketing is the front line of your marketing program. And Ariel, I don't know anything about constant contact, but I do know that there's no point in spending $50,000 on a new website if you're not going to be doing the things that draw people to the website. Would you agree with that? And so when you're picking somebody to do your website, it's absolutely essential that it's more than just somebody that knows how to do something that's pretty. That website has to be an integral and key part of the marketing program. It has to be thought of as a marketing tool as opposed to an informative tool. And if you're not absolutely convinced that Constant Contact is a thoroughly professional social medium marketing entity, then we need to kind of rethink who's going to do our website.
Thank you, Cliff. I didn't say yes, by the way.
It's just something important. If you watch on Sunday mornings, anybody has Comcast, on channel 401, it's a Sun network, you'll see golf for about 6 hours. There are golf destinations, there are golf lessons, golf this, golf that, whatever it is. There's one particular segment that's sponsored by Gosling Liquors, and it tells you all about travel, areas to go to. Cape Cod, an example, they did a couple golf courses in Cape Cod, which I'm familiar with. Other places that I'm familiar with in the Carolinas. And I tell you what, these people do an excellent job. It's a professional job. They do the drone flyovers and everything else. And I think it would be a good idea if somebody would contact these people, because I think they would do a bang-up job here.
Okay. Thank you.
And that's the Gosling commercial type of stuff that they have.
Okay. Thanks. Any other further public comment as it pertains to the global golf presentation? Yes, you must have had a senior moment there for a second.
Have a lot of those.
Don't we all?
In today's world, social media marketing, the guy with the biggest database wins. And we have a lot of people coming through here, daily play people, visitors, et cetera, et cetera. We have got to have an integrated approach to developing a database to get those people to register, give us their telephone number, their email address, and all of those things. We have got to use every means we have available to us to build our database of people that have, the people that have come here are prime prospects already. Getting somebody new is hard work, but if they've already come here, we need to spend quite a bit of effort to identify who they are, name, place, all of that kind of stuff, and keep working those people until we know they're no longer prospects.
Thank you, Cliff. No more further comment? Okay, moving right along. Add-on items. Say none.
Is Mr. Paralakis here? No?
Are you going to go right into?
So he's not here. We have two communications to the board. One from Mr. Paralakis, the other from Mr. and Mrs. Studin.
Mm-hmm.
Stunden. I apologize. Stunden.
Stunden.
I apologize.
Out of Barry. I read both of them. They're not here. I don't need to comment on them. I understand them. We had a conversation. I think you're checking into something on it to get more details.
Well, yeah, we haven't been dealing with it.
So,
did you get the details? Have you met with him? Or?
No, I haven't met with him. No.
So my question is, you're aware of it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I ask a question? Is it true?
Yeah.
Question 2 then is, how come?
We have contacted the sheriff's department on it to let them know what steps to take, because it was something that when it came up, and it was a few months ago, and it's only come up once that we know of, and we contacted the sheriff's department, and we do daily checks. They also do daily checks, and that's, you gotta, you gotta be right there. And you know the situation, what it is, and I think the rest of you.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult, so you have to be right here, and.
My only concern, Michael, is we received a letter from him, and I might have missed it, but I went back in several of the reports, and I never.
It was not a few months ago.
It was when Philip was still here.
Okay, because I did go back, and I hadn't seen that, so, yeah. Okay. It was reported, okay. Okay.
So this is a one-time event or something that happens every day?
Yeah, we know, but,
So what are we going to do with, you going to sit down and talk with him, or Mr. Paralakis, or what?
I haven't. I was just waiting for, Kenny and I have been talking about it. I can explain to him, what we've done so far, yeah.
Okay.
Or send him a letter, either one.
Yeah, just send him a letter.
That's not a problem, Kenny and I can.
Yeah, send a letter, and just, if the appropriate authorities are the Highlands County Sheriff's Department, then, you don't have the authority to police that. Okay. Okay. Okay, and the other one was pertains to money on waiving penalties, and they're not here. They do live in Canada. So, is this something we want to discuss? Do we want to approve it? What do we want to do? We're going into foreclosure with these people. Okay? Being a business person, I would say, get the money and waive the penalties, other than we need to get our money for our attorney, and So I would get back to him and say, hey, okay, fine, you want to pay us the money? We'll do it. That's just me. I'm not, there's 4 other people here.
We've done this before, so it's not,
It's not new, no. As long as we get our attorney fees so we can pay David.
Cost of collection.
What is the adjustments for $210 under 2018?
That's a foreclosure fee.
That would have been for the demand letter that goes out that initiates the foreclosure process.
Oh, okay.
And they're willing to pay that.
So that would come from you, Omar? Can you send them?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
So
Okay.
we're gonna take the money?
You guys decided.
Is there consensus?
Is there a consensus to take the money?
Sure.
yes, yep.
Yes.
Okay. Consensus, take the money.
Honestly, for the future, I don't see any reason that should even come to the board. You guys should be making those decisions.
We would like to have a policy in place that we can make those decisions underneath a certain threshold. We absolutely think that it's necessary, so we've talked about that internally.
Great.
Do it.
Sounds good to
Yeah,
me.
we don't need to be taking up everybody's time with that sort of stuff.
We agree.
Staff reports. Cliff,
What? General counsel?
did I leave you out? General counsel. Oh, staff reports. Thank you.
Okay, I'll keep it short. Really, we're just getting into October 1. A lot of things changed right at this time of year. So we have our new fall menus are rolling out. You'll see those. Well, they'll start next week. So Chef Kevin has kind of all new menus. The hours were all changed, so we'll be open all day Mondays now, and we're also changing our Sunday. Instead of having kind of a limited menu on Sundays, we're going to go ahead and serve a full lunch menu on Sundays, but still close at 3 o'clock. We just don't see any reason to be open in the evenings on Sundays yet, but so we're just increasing. Yeah, everything is kind of increasing as of Monday. Financials, I think everybody's seen the August financials. It's another really good month. We were up 37 grand, I think, to budget, and 23 of that fell to the bottom line. So really very good August. Same as September. September's really trending very, very well. Going to be really up about $15,000. Mostly due to really some better banquet sales that Mike has done, really short-term booking stuff. So really good job from Mike. So there will be a little kind of a tick in spending. I've bought kind of new banquet tables. I don't know if you've noticed the new glassware. There's been just things that we've needed to kind of get ready for the season. So I've spent a little bit, tables in the banquet room, just things that were really not up to our regular quality. So newsletter goes out Monday as well. Newsletter's done. That's all finished. Probably the last thing, speak for Earl a little bit. We're trying to finish the snack bar. Even though all the renovations are kind of done, we've struggled even finding sod and plants. There's so much building going on really on the coast right now, and we're such a small player, so we've kind of struggled even buying sod and getting some of those plants. I think we see that pretty soon. We finally got an invoice for it, so you'll start seeing that getting finished up. So that's been delayed more than we had hoped.
Okay. Cliff, just a quick question. The furniture in the banquet room, the furniture in the whole clubhouse, is it in need of replacement?
Well, probably, yeah. I mean, we're not far away from that. It's just starting to look dated. Some of the finish is coming out. Part of Simon's job is to kind of every day kind of keep an eye on that, but I've had him kind of go back and restain several pieces of furniture. Really, the biggest problem is really the furniture on the lanai. But again, I'm not going to buy any of that, obviously, until we kind of know what we feel like we're going to do there. I'm not going to replace. I may do some temporary stuff to try and make that furniture look a little bit better the next couple of months, but we're probably. I mean, you're right. We're probably a year away from me starting to ask for furniture in the whole place.
Okay. I mean, I happen to be in agreement with you. I think there's some paint chipping in the banquet.
Well, it's just beginning to be dated. It's getting to the point that it's just going to be past its prime, and we got to. That's what I think. I think we got about another year left, and I'll be asking for those to be changed.
If the board decides, or if we go through with the expansion on the lanai, I think we have to take into consideration the inside of the clubhouse at the same time.
Couldn't agree more, and we'll.
So I don't know how we go about that, because again, I mean, that's money again, But I would assume it would cost pretty much a lot of money, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have $15,000 in furniture replacement of the lanai. Believe it or not, the furniture inside isn't quite as expensive as that outdoor furniture. So, but if we decide to end up with the lanai, we'll it's a whole nother conversation.
I mean, the clubhouse has been around for 10 years. I think it's time to consider a new paint job, maybe fixing it up and making it attractive. So I don't know how we go about that.
Agreed.
We probably should consider that when we talk about budgets for the capital.
As a follow-up to what Ray was saying, the furniture on the lanai, do you have any idea? I mean, I have no concept. 15, 20,000, would that cover it, you think?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get a ballpark on it. I didn't know.
The thing we have to consider with the lanai, though, is you can't put, remember, it's all going to be part of the clubhouse now. So you can't put different furniture on the lanai, because it's part of the clubhouse.
No, you need to
so
match
it. Should,
We're gonna address that internally. We realize that. So.
Okay.
And we've talked about it.
It's just more money, is all.
It's just more money, and what'll happen is we'll end up. I mean, if the lanai happens, we'll have those conversations with you guys, obviously. But
okay.
I mean, at worst, we would buy something that stays in the line for years and years, and perhaps we do a portion that we can.
It also has to do.
I
mean, the lighting. If this guy's going to draw plans,
correct.
His lighting in the lanai's got to match the lighting inside. Because again, it's all part of the clubhouse now. So I mean, we have to really think this sucker out. Otherwise, we're going to be coming up with resolutions all the time to fix it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to buy any lanai furniture yet, so it's just not.
No, I would hope that the architect would be thinking about all of the lighting and all of those things. I mean, we're paying him $20,000.
Yeah, he's not going to think of the lighting inside. He's just going to think of the lighting.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Ariel?
So events for us, similarly to what we talked about at our last meeting, we are still doing pre-registration for Trick or Trot. So that's going well. Looking at doing some radio advertisements for our last week of pre-registration, just to really get those folks to come in and pre-register so that we have a count of who will be attending. Starting next week, we will start you may have seen the advertisements for it, the Scoop Ice Cream Float Social.
Yeah, that's going to be here, right?
Yes, that's going to be here. Opportunity for residents to come in. We encourage them to bring their friends, bring their table games, and come in and just kind of have some open time here in the community center to mingle with other residents. So that's going to be coming up starting next Thursday. Regarding fitness and recreation, I know that we've been discussing the last couple times about Silver Sneakers, and we have gotten the approval for Sun and Lake to participate in the Silver Sneakers program. Our department is working on the trainings and stuff that are associated with that, so hope to have a little bit more of a formal put together for you very soon as that continues to come together. Let's see, also early October I will be having a meeting with resident Dave Smith and the pickleball group just kind of a brainstorm and a question and answer session that we can go over some different things that are within our means to really grow the pickleball program here at Sun and Lake. He's been very helpful in providing a lot of insight and a lot of actual physical work for us and help putting together paddle boxes and things of that nature. So we will be doing that early October as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
A question for you, Ariel. He had requested landscaping around the entrance to the place, and we were not able to do that because the irrigation wasn't functional. Are we now functional and we can do that, or?
Yes, so Earl and I did meet on that. We put together a plan to fix the irrigation and to get some better looking landscape in there to really dress up that area. So yes, we have met on that. That is a work in progress, but it is being done. The irrigation and the landscaping to fix that.
Earl's got a lot of stuff on his plate. I'm not going to speak for him, but I would suggest that we might get it done quicker if we got some outside agency to do so.
Kind of already took care of it. We've already took care of it.
Okay.
One other thing for that area is we did add a bike rack, or we have a bike rack that we will be putting in. So it's already installed. So we've got a bike rack that's installed so that residents can ride their bikes and have a place to park their bikes at that facility.
The bike rack is by the pickleball, or is it by the clubhouse?
Yeah, it's by the pickleball.
Okay.
But we're going to get one by the clubhouse as well?
That was the discussion initially, I thought, was the clubhouse, but
We have installed a bike rack on the north end of the tennis court. Is that correct? It's on the main gate? Okay, that's where the bike rack is.
Yeah, but there was a request for one where people could come to the clubhouse and ride their bikes. I think specifically it was Sherry Ann. I thought we were doing both.
yeah, I thought that was the initial request.
When management assessed the area, we felt the most appropriate area for the bike rack would be at the racket club. So that's where we've installed the bike rack at this time. Is there just one or two bike racks we have in there? Just one. Okay. So it's been installed, but
I'm not sure that's adequate. That wasn't the request anyway.
We understand that, but we assessed the clubhouse area. We also assessed the racket club area and realized that we didn't even have a bike rack right there on the north end of the racket club. So that's where we determined it was the best fit.
Well, I think that's a great fit to have it over there.
Yeah.
But the initial request, I think, was the only, and I don't want to be speaking for Dan, I think the initial request was not to put it at the pickleball and tennis courts, but to put it at the clubhouse. Now, I'm not disagreeing if management looked at it and said it's a hazard or it's not a good place to put it, then okay, that would have been nice to know that. That's all I'm saying. The request was for something other than what we got.
So can we put one at the clubhouse, or is you saying not to? I don't know what a bike rack costs, but so why wouldn't we do it? I don't understand.
Wait a minute. Like I said, Cliff and I assessed the area, and we felt the most appropriate place would be over at the racket club. If there's a place that someone else feel, the area's been looked at. We don't feel a bike rack is appropriate in front of the clubhouse, and it is we look at it from a hazardous standpoint. We look at golf. We've looked at golf cart traffic. We've talked about it. And then in the conversations, we realized we didn't have anything at the racket club. It's a very short walk from the area where the bike rack is currently, if you'd like to go look at it. But in the conversations, we did realize we didn't even have anything at the racket club. So we felt that was the most appropriate.
The specific request was for the ladies to be able to ride their bike to the clubhouse to play cards.
Correct. That is correct. But management assessed the area, and we've decided that the racket club would be the most appropriate area for the rack.
That's not the only bike rack in the world. I mean, if it's something that members want, I don't know if one member wants it or 100 members wants it, but I don't know.
Dan, we also had a request, put one over there for the last couple of years. and we just never did it by the by the tennis courts. So that's why it went there. The most requests were by the tennis courts. Now, just so you know.
No, I was under
When we're putting it up.
I think we specifically said, put one,
Yeah, if you want it there, it can be there as soon as it comes in.
I don't care one way or another. I'm just telling you.
Okay.
That's what we said to do. My understanding was it would be right there where the golf carts are, not in the front of the clubhouse. But, I mean, is that you? You
I
disagree,
apologize. I
Mark?
don't recall those conversations with specifically where. Did we talk about that at the board meeting?
Actually, I think that Dan brought it up specifically. That was the only sticking point I had right now was not the assessment to put it over at the tennis courts or put it at the clubhouse. The request was to put it at the clubhouse. That's the only part that is confusing. And then you said, and I get it, you assessed it, but maybe you didn't hear the conversation that the request was for specifically the clubhouse. That's all.
If I remember right, Sherry Anderson came to the meeting.
She did, but once we assess the area, we as management, if that is a board direction, we'll be glad to put a bike rack. I didn't even realize that it was a board direction. But we assessed, like I said, we assessed it.
You had a resident
yes,
come
we did.
and speak.
Yes, we did have a resident, and it was a request from one person. So.
I'm not planning on riding my bike up there.
I'm not riding my bike over there. It's a $200 whatever, and we spent 15 minutes on it. So.
Well, we only get paid a quarter an hour, so we didn't spend much.
Okay.
I think probably you should reassess it and maybe look at the back of the clubhouse. It's
or somewhere. My suggestion would be somewhere where the carts are parked, because that's where they're going to want it.
Actually, there's an ideal. There is an ideal spot right next to the cart barn,
and that would be fine too. I don't care.
Right beside where the sand area is, and that could be a great spot. Just as a thought.
Wow, these big issues.
Well.
I just don't really want to ignore a resident who takes their time and comes up here and makes the presentation, and we just do it some other way.
Okay. Additional staff. Michael, staff report. None? Okay.
I have a question. Mike. I think over by where Joe lives, Balboa or someplace, we're doing a lot of work over there. Was that that was in something that we were going to do, or is that something additional?
That's the resident. The resident lives in that house.
Yes.
That's his.
Yeah, I met him, but he's doing all that?
Yes.
Good.
That's a resident work, yes, sir.
Because I know we had a problem there, and I was with you when you talked to him, but that's nice what he's doing.
Yeah, he was just kind of fed up.
Okay.
He knew it was his responsibility. And he's, so it's getting done.
Very good.
And it should really help that area.
Great.
Excellent.
Do we have a resolution for, I'm trying to remember the guy's name now, that's come here the last couple of times, that lives over on Manor or Monza?
Swanson.
Swanson. Are we fixing his issue, or what are we doing?
Drew's involved in it right now. Drew and I have been working on it, and we are coming up with a plan, yes.
Okay. Fine.
Done? Okay. David.
All right. From our county meeting, we talked about the meeting that we had with the county attorney. We are going to be, for the next board meeting, the plan is to have come to you with a packet that we're going to do that's going to go out with the district billing mailing to the Unit 16 people. Basically tried to information gathering to find out if it's something that they're interested in having happen, the zoning change. If they're interested in having happen, not interested, or apathetic. one way, so we can get some information for the county, so the county will have some ammunition if, when they go before the Board of County Commissioners to make the potential change. Tanglewood, I had reached out to them. I got an email back from their, I guess, general manager. Who's it, Tammy? Is that the general manager? That she has been in contact with the regional manager, and they're supposed to have some dates for us in October when we can have a conversation about renegotiating that contract. Unit 12, the title search has been ordered. It is in the process of being performed, and I'll probably have the results of that in time for the next meeting. And that's all I've really got.
On the Unit 16, is there going to be a cost to us to do any of this?
No, that's where we're trying to get it done so we can bring it to the board at the next board meeting, and it'll go out with the regular bill mailing. So it will be some cost, but it's going to be we're going to try and get it done so if it goes out with the bill mailing, it'll reduce our costs, because we won't have to do a separate mailing.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional movement on hearing from the developers on Pebble Beach? Nothing.
I haven't heard anything.
Nothing. Okay, so. Okay. Thank you, David. Okay. General Manager's report.
The Supervisor of Elections, Penny Ogg, has extended her sincere appreciation for the district allowing her staff to use the community center for the primary election on August 28th. They also will be using the community center for elections, and that is November 6th on Tuesday. And I also wanted to mention that the President Camp, you were the only qualifier for your seat, so you won't be on the ballot, obviously, but you will be your seat expires January 8th, I believe. So the first meeting for January 11th will be your new term at that time.
I have to come in on the 11th? I have to report
it's a regular
to duty?
board meeting, so I'll leave it up to you. But that'll be the first day of your term. Will be at that board meeting. A couple other things. We mentioned the bid package for the leased equipment earlier in the meeting. The advertisement went out Wednesday, and the bid opening date will be October 9th at the district office at 2 o'clock for the leased equipment. And that is the only bid we have out currently.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Oh, that was a short one. Thank you. Okay, unfinished business.
None.
None?
None.
Okay. New business?
None.
None. Okay. Committee reports?
No committee reports.
No committee reports, none. Okay.
Well, while Earl's still here, Earl, I just want to say I appreciate what he did on the bunker on number 9 on Turtle. Thank you.
I think that's an understatement. We appreciate everything you've done since you got here. A lot more than just that.
Oh, he gets applause.
You have something to report?
No, I was just handing out stuff that I knew they needed from me. So. Thank you guys as always.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for what you do. Okay. Public comment. This is your opportunity to say anything you want. Okay.
Well, I have 3 comments. I cannot speak so much my mouth. Anyway.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Sisling Price.
Thank you.
9134 of Vado Street. And I'm just commenting about the water at the house where I'm living below the house. I'm asking if I can get me a tractor to move the water, I myself, to move the water across, because when the rain falls, the water backed up to the house, and I see snake and everything. And I'm living there 7 years now, and I think I'm not asking for too much, just that, to move the water across when the rain falls. It back up underneath the road. So when the rain falls, the water back up to the house. And I'm asking so many times. The men, they came, but they don't do the right thing. The water have to push across the street. And I'm asking for that. And I don't think I'm asking for too much. But it's to understand, when they come, they're making a river at the bottom, just hoping up there. It's not that. It's the water to go across the road, because it back up underneath the road, and I'm just asking for that. Well, if they can't do it, I'll try and get somebody, but who will pay them?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Can I ask, have you had an opportunity to be out there, Michael? Is this something?
Many times.
Is it?
We cleaned the ditch, and she's right, it does back up on her area, but it's across the street with what the county owns is the problem. So when it fills up, of course, it takes a while to drain. And
Okay.
that's what's happening. Well, we have cleaned her ditch many, many times. At least 2-3 times a year we do it, right? And it's the way the drainage is made there. So until the county cleans all the back out by the preserve, it's probably going to always be like that. No?
It's nothing that the county. Okay, it's the county.
It drains across the road, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. It fills up and then it'll drain across the road. That's the way the ditch is made.
Okay.
You know, so
And it goes into the county's.
the county's area, right?
In the county's area.
And we have cleaned.
Is there some? I was going to say, is there something without violating some rule or law that says, can we free up that if the county's not doing it?
We have free, but it fills up and through the years, and, it just got to,
Okay, it's not a quick fix.
It's not a quick fix. I've taken Drew out there with me. Drew and I have been out there many times together. I mean, I feel bad for her, but, it's the way that's designed back there.
And has the county been contacted about this?
I mean, they look out there
No.
to clean their area, but they don't,
Okay. So we don't have a solution, is what you're saying?
Well, you've got to let the water percolate into the area.
Okay.
I mean, I was out there this morning about 6 o'clock, and it was pretty dry.
What's the street address?
And it's the very last street. You know where the park is, way out back.
Yeah.
Okay, it's in that area.
Okay.
Yeah. No, okay. I mean, it's just the way that the drainage is designed.
Okay.
And she just happens to be on that corner.
Okay.
She's on a corner, so it's coming from 2 or 3 different areas, and it's full.
I just want to make sure that we address the part that we could address.
And we have.
And that's all. I mean.
And it's very frustrating for her, and I understand that, and I'm with her, but, it's just, it's a design.
Okay. I needed an explanation. You provided the explanation, so I appreciate it.
So is she talking about doing stuff on our property or on the county?
She said she's contacted the county as well. Javita McKinney, you may need to go to them directly. I wanted to mention something, not to ask for a resolution. 4 persons in the neighborhood area where I am, I'm on that first circle beyond the hospital, and I'm on Palazzo. So I've contacted DFACS for 4 residents. One woman was selling drugs right in the driveway. So I am a big mouth tattletale, and they're taking care of that. But because these are rentals, I don't know if as a district we can request that people do background checks on their tenants. I don't know how to solve it, but the lady that I've been speaking with at DFACS is appreciative, but their hands are a bit tied. They do what they can. There's 3 sheriffs around me even, so that's just for my particular part of the neighborhood that I am nosy. I walk around, I meet my neighbors, and I like to have quote-unquote beneficial people living near me. So that's just sort of a campaign I'm on. I wanted to share that with everyone. And if you see something and you don't want to report it, let me know. I will.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other further public comment? Okay, discussion to and from the board? Nothing?
It's hard to believe.
Okay.
It's just hard to believe that we can't talk to each other, but we come here and we don't have, not one of us has any.
Oh, then, okay, since you prompted the discussion, I don't want you to feel unwanted and unloved.
Yeah.
So, I do have a question. I'll ask the board.
Attaboy.
All right. I have, over the longest time, been concerned, and this is not, don't take offense to this, I've been concerned about code enforcement, okay? I.e. trash cans, the problem we've been talking about for years. My question is, does anybody on this board care about the violations, i.e. trash cans, for an example? Because I drive up and down when I'm going over to downtown or whatever, I see them everywhere. And I'm just thinking, I don't have a lot of extra room at my house, so I'm thinking of putting them out front. But anyway, I won't bring it up ever again if nobody else really cares about it.
I care about it.
I care about it. They look horrible. And in fact, I've talked to Mike about it before, and Tanya, that we, on some of the streets, we have an issue with enforcement. And I don't know if we can, I don't know how many times you write tickets and they fix it, and then, but they got 20 days to fix it, and then they do it again. I mean, it's kind of.
That's exactly what happens.
Yeah, I know.
We ticket them, they fix it, and they start all over again.
But we also have an issue with people leaving them behind their house as well, that front on the golf course. So.
I just got a call this morning about someone leaving their trash can out. Of course, it's Friday. Well, I went over there. Well, they haven't picked the trash up yet.
They didn't pick it up?
They're running behind this week.
Waste Management did not pick up yesterday.
And I talked to Kenny about it, and she's the one who, let me know that they're behind.
Because I'm a Wednesday,
Yeah.
so I knew they were behind. It's a trickle effect.
It's just never.
Where do we stand on the new tracking?
What, Joe? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Where do we stand on the new tracking software?
On the new tracking software?
Yeah.
We have analyzed our current Encode software, and they are developing a code enforcement package. Is that correct, Omar? We also, there's another vendor that Bob has contacted, and he's done a demonstration of their packages, very, very pricey, expensive packages. But we know initially that's not what we need. We need more of a tracking. So we don't have the means to take care of that right now as far as implementation and whatnot. But hopefully Encode will finish here up soon, with their transition, and we'll look at that very seriously for our future package.
The problem with code enforcement is once we write them up, okay, they have so many days to fix it. Most of them fix it, right? And then they'll let it go for another few months and they'll start over. And it's usually the same people over and over and over. I can't tell you how many times that the guys have actually pushed the carts back in and put them up by the garage doors to try to wake these people up. It's like this lady said back here. It's a lot of renters. Renters are really tough because we contact them or we'll contact the owner, and if they don't do anything, here we go again. We start all over again.
It definitely is not an easy task.
It's very frustrating.
It
I'll
is.
be honest with you. I've been doing this for 8 years, and it's over and over. It's people putting trash out too early. Monday morning, they're putting trash out. Well, when's pickup, right? I actually knock on the door, right, and make them take stuff back. you know, and you know, of course, the first thing they tell you, well, I didn't know, which I know it's, you know, I
Okay.
mean, so, I mean,
Well-
we have someone in the preserve right now who used to be the president of the preserve, and she told me the same thing. Oh, I didn't know that that was a rule. Oh, come on, you know, so, you know, it's very, very frustrating.
It is, I have to believe it's extremely frustrating, and that's why I said you know, I asked my other colleagues here if it was just me that it bothered, because I would just let it go.
I don't want to let it go, Mark.
and
I don't want to let it go, and I hope you guys don't let it go.
but
We
my-
have to try.
My point was to be, we are we report, okay, to help you guys out that we're self-policing, okay? And maybe, just maybe, once every other week, every 2 weeks, we go and take a little ride, 3-4 hours, be it Bob or somebody else, I don't know, and just say, go down Cortez, for an example. You can go down Cortez and you can find almost every single house in violation, okay? And yes, you send them a notice, and they become repeat offenders, okay? But I always, and you're right, I see the same names always on the report or the same addresses. I don't see a bunch of others. I always see this. It seems like we gravitate to maybe the same area, but it's all over the place. And like I said, if nobody else cares, I mean, you said you do care, but I'm not trying to make the job tougher on you. We either do it or we don't do it, you know?
Well, I don't have any problem with anybody coming to me, supervisors or people that live in the district, and report it. You know, we try to address it. There's a lot of things that you guys do come to me, you know, that help. You know, so I mean, you know, don't ever, you know, and I think it's good, you know, that you do. I think it's good that the residents do also too, because that helps us also. But it's very frustrating to try to get people, you know, the renters are the worst, absolutely the worst people. And I'm not saying they're, you know, but they break every rule in the book.
Okay.
You know, so.
Is the renter responsible ultimately, or is it the property owner?
Well, we send it to the renter, and then they don't do anything, so then we'll send it to the owner, and sometimes, you know, and 80% of the time that they're, you know, the owner will call, and they'll call us back and say, oh, they're going to fix it, but, you know.
Can the process be changed?
I've already written a note to take a look at the code enforcement, but yeah, the property owner is the one at risk because that's who the lien affects.
Well, just please try to, and to what Mark's talking about. I mean, I don't care if you're out there 5 days a week, Bob, giving people tickets and writing them letters, because it's very frustrating. And Matanzas is just as bad as everything. You know, and I'm sick and tired of, that's all you see is blue and yellow.
Well, we also have a problem with unregistered cars, you know, and we're really addressing that real heavy now, because it seems Unit 2 is a lot. So, and I'm sure, I mean, now that we don't have Joe Eck and the other guys that would report to us, you know, it's not as bad to the residents, but it's still happening a lot, you know, and we are working on it, just so you understand that, you know, so.
Just out of curiosity, the software applications that you're looking at, are those standalone applications, or are they tied into some other database?
Mark, I'm sorry.
They would be the one that we've contacted, which is our current software provider, which is Tyler Technologies Encode, does tie into the other databases, but I don't know how it would necessarily. You know what I mean? I mean, the package probably could be bought standalone, but our packages currently, most of them do tie into each other. Cash collections, general ledger, payroll, all those things are all incorporated within the same package.
And I would think those are all dependent upon one another, because you have to. But code enforcement could be a standalone, I'm thinking.
It could be, because you're really right now we're talking about tracking, and in your bigger counties you have notifications, citations, receipts, things that, you know, could be almost standalone, not necessarily, unless you have a payment process tied into it, then it could be
Okay.
incorporated together. So we're looking into that. We know we need to make some changes there for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
My kids keep working every day. Tell Bob, I mean, it's never going to go away. It's never, but we need to keep full throttle all the time.
But if David
Appreciate
can,
your understanding.
if David can figure a way to address the issue of multiple offenders or multiple times,
That's-
I mean, you don't get a pass the second or third time. You get the violation, then you got an issue. Then you can do something about it.
Right, and we
I
have
mean,
to
right
change
now
it.
we're on a
That's
treadmill.
what we really have to do.
Right.
You know, we have to change it, and
No, I mean, we have all of these kind of policies and things of that nature. It's kind of nice if we could adhere to some of them.
Just ineffective.
Yeah, there's no sense in having a policy if you can't enforce it.
Thank you.
Anyway, so now, because we can't talk to one another, Michael,
Yes, sir.
other than a board conversation, I brought up my one question. Do you have any questions?
Well, I could bring it up again like I did last week. Have we done any more work about clearing there at the Sun Lake Boulevard and Edgewater, where there's scrub in that area? Sun and Lake and Sunrise. Are we still, you said it was a priority. Well,
October 1st is our new budget cycle, which is Monday.
I don't know what a priority is, but
We have not done anything physically in that area just yet. Yes, well, I mean, as soon as, so we've talked about internally. I will have a timeline for you very soon.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I got one. For next meeting, I'd like to have an update on the speed bumps. You know, are they working? Do we need more? Who knows?
We have had a couple of requests, even in the preserve where I live, that people want them. Yes, they're working on Matanzas, Michael.
Yeah, I think they're.
You know, I mean, I haven't had any complaints about speeders in that area. We have had more requests, yes.
Let's look. I think we ought to visit them.
We have come up with the policy of. Right. They have to, they have to have 20 people. 20 people?
Oh,
20 people sign up for them, and then we'll have to, make, decision if we're going to put them there or not. But yes, we have had people ask.
Okay. Well, I mean, let's stay on top of it, and I think we ought to ask the people where we put the speed bumps if they're happy with them.
What were those, $700?
I mean, when they don't complain, I figure they're happy, but.
Were those $700 a piece? The
No,
lower profile one.
They were $1,100 a piece.
$1,100.
The ones we built by Michael's house, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the other ones were 15, but we'd send them back.
Well, you sent them back.
Well,
Okay.
Well, we could
Well,
send
that's good.
one of them back.
There is a bigger issue that we need to look at, and that is consistency throughout the development. I mean, we got 25, we got 30, we got 35, and maybe those are appropriate, and maybe they aren't. And we also have speed bumps in places that are within 100, 200 yards of a stop sign, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to have a speed table and then a stop sign right after it. I'm specifically talking about back here. I think the speed table was put in before Ortega was built, therefore then they put in a three-way stop at Ortega.
Granada? Is that what you're talking? Granada? Okay. Oh, those are permanent. The ones you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were put in.
And they were put in before Ortega, so you got a speed bump and then you got a stop sign.
Right.
Do you really need both?
Still take them out. I apologize.
Well,
They're not. Nothing's permanent, but
Yeah,
they were built. They're designed as permanent.
It would be more difficult to take out than the
I
temporary.
do know there's 2 Canadians on Granada that we will probably hear from once they get here.
Well, Granada's asking for more, just so
Good.
you know.
Yeah, well, they have been, and that's what
I
we.
don't know if you were there, so they're asking for more speed bumps, so just so you know.
On Granada?
Granada,
Well,
yeah.
Lonnie will be asking.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
Lonnie and Terry Austin will be
Right, they'll be
here
asking.
the minute they
Right.
get here.
As a matter of fact, Lonnie was one of the guys last year asking me, right?
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much. No other comments? Nothing? Oh, this is wonderful. Meeting adjourned.